Okay. Hi, everybody. Today is Sunday, the 23rd of June, and we are here in Florida. We'll have one more Twitch broadcast here in Florida before we head up to Kansas City for a chunk of the summer, but we'll be broadcasting from up there too, so we shouldn't have a lot of delays in between our usual scheduled broadcasts.
And I think it's summer now.
It is summer now. I think yesterday was the solstice, or day before yesterday. I forget. Day before yesterday. It depends what hemisphere and what time zone you're in. But
doesn't always.
But it is summer, yes. Unless you're in Australia, then you are having winter now, which is always interesting to think about. Think of Christmassy things. I see Australian stuff. They'll have like summer stuff with, Santa Claus because winter is in our summer sort of there.
Ooh, someone says, that looked like an elephant. Or look at that elephant, rather.
Oh, there is, yeah. I'll show you guys. I'll talk about what I'm painting here. I'm working on quite a few very small paintings at the moment, but I'll show you the one that I was working on if you looked at my Instagram or Facebook, this is the one I was working on earlier, and she's all finished. And she is so cute. A baby elephant. He wants kisses. I love elephants. But that's one of the many minis that I have been working on. I've got 3 others in progress here. I've finished a handful of others that I'm going to be launching again. We're doing much like we did this past week. This time it'll be on Thursday at 7 o'clock. We're going to be putting the minis up in the Patreon exclusive shopping area at strangeling.com. I'm going to try to do a handful of extras, more than I did last week, because last week we went live at 7 o'clock on Tuesday with the minis, and they were sold out by 7:01, and that was, a lot of people were like, where's the minis? I don't see them. And so I didn't paint enough, so I will paint more this coming week, and we will be popping those up in the Patreon exclusive shopping area at strangeling.com this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And those are some of the ones I'm working on now.
Yep.
And then later this broadcast, I'm going to be embellishing some Masterpiece limited edition canvases, since we've had several people ask how I do those, and they'd like to see me actually hand embellish them, etc. And I can talk about that process and how we do it. It won't be too technical. It will be fun to watch. We'll be chatting, but those will be for the number 5s of, depending on how much time we have. I think it's La Belle Dame Sans Merci, yes. And the other one is Innsmouth the Mermaid, or is it
No.
What's the other one?
It's Bosch Princess.
Oh, Bosch Princess. Yes, we've sold out of that edition. And so the number 5 for both of those are up on eBay now. So I've got to hurry up not hurry up. I've got a few days. Paint them and sign them and number them. And y'all can watch me when I do that. But first, for at least an hour or two, I want to work on some mini paintings because gotta get these done by Tuesday. And these are some particularly fun ones that I am wanting to paint. Think what all we have done this week. We didn't leave the country in the past week, so that's nice. That's nice.
Kinda.
Well, yeah, but we've been here in Florida for 7 days in a row. So
Ricky's excited about the B Mini.
About which one?
The B Mini.
Oh yeah, this is one. Part of the reason I thought I'd work on it here on Twitch is he's one that is based off of a pin design. This was the pin design that I did. This is just printed on a piece of crappy paper, but it was the anniversary July of last year. That was the pin design that we gave away at strangeling.com. We always do a pin giveaway. We've got another one scheduled, the Little Red Dragon one, for this coming July. But this one, I've never done like a proper painting of her. I've done the line art, I've done that, but she doesn't exist as an actual fleshed out painting. So when I have a pin design I have not done an actual painting for, because sometimes the painting comes first then the pin, or vice versa, or maybe it was a statue, who knows. But I'd like to have some version of it so I can at least do an ACEO card or something that will have that character if people would like to see what they would look like when they're not cut down like an animation cell with 6 colors in it.
I'm winning the raffle today.
You're gonna win?
I'm going to win the raffle today.
Really? If you really do, it's going to look suspicious now, maybe. By the way, if Matt does ever win the raffle, then we're going to make Moobot pick somebody else. Yeah.
Ooh, Moobot just sent me a message. Let me see what it says. Ooh, I successfully entered with 1 entries.
Maddie.
1 entries.
1 entries. Moonbot is not good
Moonbot
on
is
plurals.
not good at grammar.
You're not a pluralist.
He is not a pluralist.
Well, I will show off. Speaking of, I should probably tell you guys, some of you are here for raffles, and we always do raffles here at Twedge. The first one is Cruella, and this is kind of cool. I don't think I've shown these off before. These are popping up recently now at Disney World and Disneyland, whether in California or Florida. And these, it's hard to show them because they're very heavy. They look like they're a little plastic thing, but they're actually metal and very significant. It's my Cruella, and these are from Disney Parks. Official merchandise. You can buy them at Disneyland, Disney World, all sorts of places, but you can also buy them online. But I'm giving one away here, and I usually sign everything.
The thing is, you have to ask yourself, do you trust Cruella with your keys?
No.
Okay.
I mean, what if you were like a pet sitter or something and had this? That'd be
yes, we have a pet sitter. Her name's Cruella DeVille. She has
that'd be awful.
-0.0111
I was gonna say, how many stars does she have? Yeah, she on. Yeah.
So yes, Shaylee, that is an Egyptian piece you're looking at.
Yeah, this one is one of the other minis. I'll talk about that in just a second. Let me.
Thank you so much, Seagrove 98.
I was gonna say I heard a magic noise.
Yay!
And the second.
Okay, people are freaking out about the elephant, by the way, Jasmine.
About what?
The elephant.
Oh, people like the elephant. Oh, I kind of put that one up. I was like, oh, what's something that's a little different than I usually do? And it's like, oh, how about a baby elephant? Why not? I've had so many requests for elephants, and some people know I love elephants. I have seen them many times in the wild, visiting throughout Botswana and South Africa, etc. I like to go see animals where they live naturally, and I have seen, I think, hundreds, believe it or not, of baby elephants in the wild before. I love them. They're one of my favorite animals. Even though they try to get me
lower
once.
lip in the world.
What's that, baby?
Have the cutest lower lip
They
in the world.
do. I finished this one up when we were setting up, but you can see his little mouth. He's so cute. Still might be a bit wet, but. Oh. And then, so that will, the Cruella one will be in roughly a little over, 50 minutes or whatever it is when it's 5 o'clock here. And then we have another one of the hardcover Forever Strange books. It's my new coffee table art book. It's, I don't even know how many hundreds of pages of full color, lovely artwork.
Jasmine will be happy to sign it, and I can sign it.
I will sign it, and Maddie will sign it, because Matt actually has written a short story that's in here. Yes, so it makes sense that he signs it. It's not just because he's on Twitch or married to me or anything.
Yeah, so.
But it's got a lot of my paintings in here. I think around 200 paintings. I forget.
It's a bunch.
Yeah, it's neat. And there's short stories and poetry written by my two sisters, both of whom are authors. And in the back, I've got little blurbs about every painting in it. You can buy this also. It's Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all that. Yeah.
L Hertz wants to know, will Jasmine be able to make prints out of the mini paintings? And also Ren Girl asks, will the elephant be a print at some point?
Not at this
at least
one.
When those, huh?
Yeah, when it's a painting that's 2 inches high, I can't make it into. Our smallest prints that we do as prints, like on the website, are 8x10. So if it's something smaller than 8x10, it's really pushing it even for like a 5x7 to get that big. So when it's something that's about 1/20th the size of our smallest print, I'm not going to be making prints out of that. Also, it would be nightmarish to keep up with the paperwork and the copyrights and everything, like filing the legal stuff to make prints from a tiny little painting when I did dozens of them that week. That would just be too crazy. But when I do little paintings like this, often it's a study for a painting I might do in the future. Like if I do a little one and I like how it looks, I might do a larger version of it. And people are digging the elephant one, so maybe I have been thinking about doing this as an idea for a painting. So these are kind of like sketches in a way. So I'll do a little one, maybe I'll do a bigger painting, like an actual painting, a big one, and we would make prints of that. We do make what we call ACEO cards, like many artists do. It's art cards, editions, and originals, where we make one tiny little canvas print.
People are saying maybe postcard size. I think they're talking about mini.
Oh, the mini prints that we have at shows? Probably not. Those are Those are different because we have to get them made at a printer. We don't make those ones in-house. So that the logistics of trying to make this into a printed one when we have to hire a printer to make those are, that it would be, yeah, I'd spend weeks on it, and then it's like, hey, in the meantime, I did 25 other paintings, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense. But I'll make an ACEO card, which I'll make one of those, so that's always something you can bid on eBay. But again, I often look at these smaller paintings as being studies for bigger paintings I might do in the future, or vice versa. Sometimes there's a character I like in a bigger painting, and I'll do a little portrait of them. And if so, I will definitely let you guys know. I'm happy you guys like the elephant. I thought he was kind of cute, and I was like,
he's very cute. We're at 75 viewers, and it's 4:13 p.m.
Yay! So right now I am working on, I finished that one. I've got 4 paintings going on. Oh yeah, there's one more raffle. Last one is a pen, and it is a pen from the Kansas City Renaissance Festival, Strangely Lonely. This was the Kansas City Renaissance Fair 2018, so last autumn this was the pen that we had at our booth. And you can't get her anywhere else unless you found somebody else willing to give theirs up. And
Jasmine.
you can get her here. Yep.
2 questions.
Yep.
What are ACEO cards anyways? And also, how about an elephant pen?
Maybe so. ACEO card stands for Art, Cards, Editions, and Originals. Some people call them ATCs, Artist Trading Cards. They've been made since, I believe, the 1930s.
Thank you, Kazamaka.
And they are 2.5 by 3.5 is the only requirement, and they have to be either handmade or hand embellished limited editions or originals. So that means there are tiny little things. If you search the word ACEO, the ones I do, I've had a bunch of broadcasts up here at Twitch when I actually make the cards. If you're interested in the process, look at my archives on YouTube or up here at Twitch. They are tiny little canvas prints, and I make one of each painting I do, whether it's a big painting, a little square painting. I've got to make it 2.5 by 3.5 and usually end up cutting off part of their face or something. But when they are 2.5 by 3.5, which is approximately the size of like this painting here, they're made out of canvas. I make one print of them on canvas that are the same size because you don't want to make a little painting big. When you make a little painting really big, it looks all blurry and you can see all the cat hair and dust in it and fingerprints, and nobody wants to look at that, which is why I don't take a painting like this and make a poster of it. It would not make any sense. So when I have an ACEO card, I make one of each one, numbered 1 out of 1. We'll talk about numbering a bit later because I'm going to talk about my masterpiece editions when I work on those. And they're printed, it looks just like that, but it's a tiny little canvas that is printed after I've scanned in the original painting. I paint little details, like when you see the ACEO card, she might have a different amount of flowers in her hair, or maybe there'll be some leaves in the background or something like that. And those are ones that we auction off at eBay.
Jasmine.
Yep, because there's only one. I don't know.
Are there any current ACEOs up on eBay?
I don't think so. I think the last batch of them went up like a week or 2 ago. I usually put them up maybe once or twice a month. Right now on eBay are the number 5s of the masterpiece editions we mentioned earlier. There's a couple of those, and also the number 1 of Innsmouth Mermaid, which I think a lot of you folks out on Twitch watched me paint the original, and the number 1 is up for auction for Innsmouth Mermaid. She's the Cthulhu mermaid, like in front of the town of Innsmouth.
She's pretty cool.
And then the number 5 will go up for auction right after that, because the editions in between number 2, 3, and 4 have already sold out to Patreon people. So we only have the number 1 and the number 5. I couldn't really put it on the website to buy the limited editions because they were already sold out before I was done painting her. We will be talking about those a bit later, and thank you to all of you last Tuesday who tuned in or participated in for 0.8 seconds or whatever it was on my website when we had the mini paintings go up for sale from the last one. They were interesting. Thank you for your patience. Yes, I just basically hit refresh and they all were there, and I saw all these orders for like the same paintings over and over again because our software was not equipped to handle that amount of traffic in that short of time.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a shopping cart thing.
Yeah, so we had our website administrator look at the website, change some things in the shopping cart. So this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, when we pop up the new ones, and there will be quite a few. They shouldn't let more than one person buy the same painting because there's only one of them. So that should be working, and as I was worried about that not working because I've dealt with selling mini paintings in the past, and it's usually like in real life when people just wake up at 5 o'clock and get in line and stand in line for a long time. So it was kind of the equivalent of that, but on the internet.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
So I don't know if that will happen again this Thursday, but it might, and if it does, be assured that the software should be working properly, according to Sonia, my website administrator / stepsister. And those of you who we have contacted privately already via email who needed refunds because they bought a painting that somebody else bought or anything like that, we will be contacting you most likely on Wednesday to show you the new paintings that will be popping up so you can get a preview. That way you can get a first dibs on one, as kind of an apology for the fact that they sold out so fast. But if you've gotten an email like that, probably Wednesday will be when we contact you. But in the meantime, gotta paint these pretty. What's that, babe?
Yep.
Yeah, the Egyptian one, that's what I'm kind of working on now. I was working on her the same time as the little baby elephant when I started, because I was using a similar gesso tin, because she's going to have darker skin, and she's kind of in the woods there, so this one's going to be a zombie, so it's got kind of a blue-gray, dead-looking background. But anyways, I'm working on the Egyptian one, and here is the picture that I'm sort of looking at for the same character. This is a concept art that we did for the Strangeling brand for Hamilton Collection / Bradford Exchange. It was a series of Egyptian queens with their cats. Kind of like how I did Medusa with her cat, or how she's not Egyptian, but I've done different famous characters holding cats, princesses with cats, etc.
Just across that little pond, though.
Yeah, that's true. It's not far from there. But or I have Senora, the Egyptian character I have with that's holding
is up on my screen right now.
Oh, is she?
That was funny.
Yeah. But anyways, we did a handful of concepts with the Bradford Exchange to do figurines of them. But since these exist only as like either three-dimensional sculptures or the computer concept art that the Bradford team do, there aren't paintings of all these. Now this one, instead of having her with the cat, we had originally done a concept art of her holding one of the, it looks like a shepherd's crook, but it's striped, and it's something that you see a lot of queens and kings in Egyptian murals, etc. holding. I forget the name of it, it's got an Egyptian name. I had her holding one of those first, kind of like a pharaoh thing. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, as opposed to the cat version of her. I think we did both versions as the sculptural concepts, and they were trying to see which one tested better. Probably the one with a cat, but I'm painting her more pharaonic portrait here. Yeah, what's up?
I had a question.
Yeah.
Since it's so close to Dragon Con, will you bring any tiny treasures to Ren Fair?
Tiny treasures at the Ren Fair? I don't think we've ever had them at the Ren Fair before. It's not even that it's close to Dragon Con. It actually is the same weekend of Dragon Con is when the Ren Fair in Kansas City opens, which is why I'm never there for opening weekend, because and my sister and her husband are there. It is literally Labor Day weekend every year. It has been for 30 years, same with Dragon Con. I've got to pick one or the other to go to, and Dragon Con's one weekend, and the Kansas City Ren Fair goes for a couple months. So if I have to miss one, I can't really miss Dragon Con. So I'm always at Dragon Con, and when I'm there in person, that's usually when I have the tiny treasures, because I paint them, and I usually bring them myself in a suitcase or my purse, or if I have a big coat, I'll bring them in my pocket on the airplane or something like that. So it would be where I am in person. So it would probably be just at the Kansas City Ren, or at the Dragon Con.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Because I've never been to opening weekend at the Kansas City Renaissance Fair, not as an adult at least, because it's always Labor Day weekend, and Dragon Con is always Labor Day weekend. So when conventions or galleries ask me if I can come out to, we've got a show and it's going to be Labor Day weekend, or I've got this convention or that one and it's going to be Labor Day weekend, I already know that there are two things I'm supposed to bilocate and somehow appear at both, so that probably would not happen. Probably.
Jasmine.
I'm going to limit myself, yeah.
Leela says, I know that Jasmine has a lot of projects to work on, but would Jasmine consider doing a sort of Dorian Gray style picture? In the future, I mean.
You know what? I have on my list of about 6,000 painting ideas, I think I have. This is literal. This is a real list I have. I have one called Dorian Gray with an A and an E at the end, and I thought that would be a neat idea for a painting. I don't know what it would look like, but it is definitely on my list. Like Oscar Wilde, so.
I wonder if there's a play on Dory from
like Finding Nemo?
Yeah, and
But like Dorian Gray? Probably. Probably online somewhere. The internet is a big place. I'm getting some of the colors that I had mixed previously. Those of you who watched before know I have many, many colors that I have mixed with, usually for tinting my gesso in the background, which make kind of a muddy neutral that I can blend in with the other colors in the painting to make sure it kind of looks more three-dimensional when I'm working on it, because it's going to blend in with the background. And I've got quite a few of those. Now, did you notice, Maddie, if there was another little jar that was here before you put the cameras up? Remember how you had to move some? Do you know?
I didn't move them. I
handed them to me. Is there another one over there?
The only thing I see is your varnish.
It's just varnish. Okay. Oh,
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I really don't see
I've got a lot over here. This one is pretty close, so they're very subtle. It's kind of a nice gray brown color. I'll pour that down. These are just mixtures of the existing golden fluid acrylic paints that most of my paintings are made out of, but I use them for blending things that I want to match the main kind of mid-tone on the paintings. Like if it's the shadow of what the skin tone is, I could either use this color and work up, meaning adding lighter colors like white or Titan buff, or use it down by putting in browns or blues or purples or greens, and that would make more of a shade tone. So I like to pick a color that I think is kind of the mid background color. If it's a mermaid, it might have a blue in it because she's under the water. If it was something at nighttime, it might have purple in it because it's moon shadows. Yeah.
Starwind BC says, I wish you could do a portrait of the wife from the Tower of Terror. Are they thinking of the movie star that's in the ride?
Well, it shows there is the movie that Disney made.
They're all
for
movie stars.
And there's the film, yeah, like in the little film they show you in Florida, like
Or I mean, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, well, there was an actual movie like you could rent at Blockbuster.
Wasn't Steve Guttenberg in that one?
I don't know. I don't think I ever watched it.
Direct-to-video Steve Guttenberg. I don't know.
That's his nickname, right? No. Sorry, Mr. Gutenberg. I don't.
Hi, I'm direct-to-video Steve Guttenberg.
Hey. You might like my artwork, Green. Wouldn't be the first person with a ride at MGM.
Well, I don't know if that's really his ride.
That's true.
That's like saying Eddie Murphy's ride
the Haunted Mansion.
Is the Haunted Mansion.
I don't know. The Haunted Mansion movie wasn't. A lot of people
They're gonna redo it. I know.
I've heard that. The part with the skeletons underwater was actually pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I thought, especially for what age group it was suggested for. Remember at the time thinking, oh gosh, if I was to show this to so and so, they would have been scared by that.
Well, I remember Theo at age 3 wouldn't watch The Goonies because of the title.
He was older than that then. He was like 5 or 6. That was at New Year's at Amber's house, right?
Yeah.
He was
it
old.
Says Goonies.
You know what? When he was
not a monster.
When he was actually 3, you showed him the movie
Monster House.
Monster House.
Has anyone seen that movie, Monster House?
That is no spoilers, but it's kind of a creepy theme for a kids movie. And he was literally 3. And remember, he was eating like macaroni or something in our living room here, and he like was bringing up his fork to his mouth, and he started watching the TV, and he kept his hand up like this the whole time because he was just staring at the movie and was scared by it. He didn't even take a bite. He just kept his hand up there. It's not that scary of a movie, but it was scary for a 3-year-old. I can talk about him with impunity because he's probably not watching Twitch because I think he's on a Boy Scout canoe camping extravaganza. Huh?
I said impunity.
Yes. So I'm just making my palette here, mostly with a bunch of neutral colors because I'm going to start working, since this one's basically finished. I've been working on shading her hands, her arms, her skin tone, makeup, etc. These two here, I don't normally do 4 paintings at once, but you know, I've got a bunch of paintings to do, are going to be based off of the colors that I've mixed in with those 2 gessos. In this one, I'm thinking the zombie theme on this one, but this one I want to more or less match the main character that I used in my line art for the pin design before. For Bee Princess, and she's so cute. So right now, if you look at my palette, these are all, well, 4 of these are colors that I have made myself just out of the Golden Fluid acrylics. A couple of these are just lighter neutral tones like white and Titan Buff, Naples Yellow. Got quinacridone, nickel,
These are basically
gold,
staples,
purple,
right?
yeah, Van Dyke brand, raw umber. That's another one I made. I made a few of these. I kind of wish I could make a bunch of these and just buy them already made, but...
Will there be custom minis available for auction on Twitch coming up, Jackie?
Probably when we are in Kansas City, I might do that. We will, let me think. We'll be up there starting around the 4th of July, working out of my Kansas studio, and then going through pretty much all of July we'll be working out of my Kansas studio. So when we are there, I don't have my big easel there, so I tend to do smaller pieces, so I would be more likely to do custom minis around then. So yeah, some of you here might have seen me do the custom mini auctions where I just start working on something and you can tell me how to finish it, etc. These aren't them. These are ones that I'll be finishing and they'll just be for sale later on my website. But as far as custom ones, I would guess not next week, but maybe the week after. We broadcast Twitch a few times. Actually, the first time, Maddie, that we did a custom mini auction on Twitch was in Kansas City, remember?
Yes.
I'm taking right now Titan Buff, a bit of white paint, Naples Yellow, and 2 of the tones that I've made myself that are just kind of gray neutrals that I'm using for the shadows of the flesh tones. And I'm going to start building up the line art on this little pretty to make it look more 3-dimensional. I'm putting highlights on the areas. If you were to look at somebody's face and they look vaguely humanoid, they're going to have the cheeks are going to poke out, the forehead's going to stick out, the nose is going to stick out. Not as much on a lot of people because my characters tend to have little button noses. And also I'll be putting some darker colors on there too in the shadowed areas. And this is just a golden Taklon plain brush. I'm starting to run out of my clear grip ones. These are the same fibers, but they're on a wooden brush. I don't like these as well because the paint flakes off. Like
that is awful.
They have a painted handle for a brush you're supposed to leave in the water half the time. It's obviously going to fall off pretty quickly. I've thought about just like dipping them in paint remover or something and just using them as is, but then they get all splintery. But yeah,
have to sand them each time.
Yeah, I know. And then you get to sand them, then it turns into a woodworking project, and the whole point of it costing $1.99 defeats the purpose. When I'm putting these lighter tones on here, I'm thinking about where my light source is, and this isn't a very big complicated painting. It's more of like a little school portrait wallet size that you're going to have. But looking at this, I'm going to say, oh, the light is probably going to be coming from her upper right or upper left-hand side here, because she's looking up as if the viewer is looking at her. If you make the light source appear to be where the viewer, which would be you or I or anybody looking at the painting, is looking at, then it will seem to have a more extreme level of depth to it, a bit more 3-dimensionalness, a sculptural quality. Let me scoot her over a bit better. Yeah.
Make My Clay says, are these paintings for Patreon exclusive?
These are going up to the section of my website, strangeling.com, which is the Patreon accessible section. So you do need it's only for, you just have to get the password. It costs $1 because it is a subscription to Patreon. But once you're there, you can use the password and you can use it all you want. And these will pop up on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm hoping to have several others finished by then. I've got a whole bunch of minis that, like, they haven't necessarily been cut down on the right side of wood yet, but things like sketches and concept art and stuff that I've done over the years, or the color roughs that I can totally clean up and turn into a presentable, nice painting and put a frame on it. And that's what a lot of the minis that you will be seeing on my website, they might not necessarily be things that are prints, but they might be like this one. It was a pin design, or this one was just a cute elephant, or this one was a concept design we ended up not doing for a Hamilton project. So it's kind of a way to get a unique, actual, original hand-painted painting for a bargain comparatively. I know it's not a bargain for everybody, but compared to like the big paintings there, I am doing my best to keep them reasonable, which is part of the reason I am putting them up on my website instead of eBaying them, because if you put things on eBay, who knows what they're going to go for, which is great. But I can do that with other paintings all I want, but I'm trying to keep these at a specific amount.
Jasmine.
Yep.
Vampy923 says maybe try Ross. They sell some plastic handle brushes.
Oh, I thought Ross like sold dresses or something.
Yeah, they do.
Remember Carrie Ann Bed had that dress that she was wearing? Carrie Ann Bed?
Yes.
At Dragon Con, and everybody kept asking her where she got her dress, and she's like, I got it at Ross.
Pretty sure she pronounces it Bod.
Bod. Baade. If you don't know her artwork, you should. She's fantastic. She's one of my favorite living artists. Carrie Ann Bed.
Interest, not sure if you've already mentioned, so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
But what is that painting in the upper right? Looks like a fairy.
This one here is the one that I'm working on. I've just done the line art, basically just looking at this and copying. It's a little bit different, but it's very similar. The one that was the Bee Princess, she was a pin design.
No, more upper right. She's referring to the printout, I think.
Oh, yeah, this isn't a painting. This is just like the printed out advertisement that we used for a test market for a Hamilton collection Egyptian character with kitty cats. We did a couple versions of her. One of the concepts we did originally was her more as like a pharaoh, and she was holding like a staff instead of holding a cat. So I was thinking about doing a mini version of the original concept that we had, but the kitty cats ones were better, and they tested better as far as the market goes. So I'm probably going to change the colors so it matches the original one.
Yeah,
but
usually
I like her
have
hairstyle.
A white border around her paintings.
Yeah, well, not usually, but yeah, these are just pieces of paper here. Maybe I should move them up further. I don't want to confuse people or think it's something I can buy.
Kendra said it looked like it was on canvas.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. On the upper right, was that the one she was talking about?
Yeah. That's
what
she was
gotcha.
Talking about.
Yeah, I should probably scoot those up higher. Usually, if I have reference pieces, I like to show them once or twice and then hide them out of the way, because if people are just joining the room, they don't necessarily know, like, hey, what's that? Did you just paint that? I'm like, no, that's some Disney thing that I did, the design for or whatever. But she's the one that this one is kind of based on. I liked her hairstyle, so just for reference and to keep kind of a consistency within the brand, as if these are characters that kind of exist in the Strangeling universe, because they are. That if there are statues of something, there might also be a portrait of them. They might also be in a different pose sometimes, and maybe they have their cat with them sometimes, but not always, and etc. Or sometimes they have a baby elephant. Funny, I didn't really think about which one I was going to show off on Instagram and Facebook, and I just picked the elephant one, but it seems like people like that one. Yeah.
Tigger just read that you want to do a new vinyl doll.
Yes, I do.
What will she be?
Well, there are a couple things that are hopefully going to happen with that. Firstly, I want to use the same mold that we used for the Alice in a Starry Night vinyl doll, the first Strangeling vinyl that we've done, the only one we've done so far. I would like to do an alternate, like a variant on it for the Patreon folks that is kind of like her, but it's painted like at the easel since she's holding a palette. I thought about making the easel blue and giving her hair like mine and a little... She's wearing an apron because she's Alice in Wonderland. It's really a pinafore, but if you made it green, it would kind of look like the at the easel pin, which people really like a lot. So I want to do a limited run of the vinyls that are the same mold as the Alice, but are in that color scheme. And then the next one, we are trying to think, and we welcome any suggestions, as far as the small vinyl dolls, a character that we could use. The molds on those cost between $10,000 and $15,000, and I have to pay for it out of my own pocket. So I would like to use the mold that I could have different color schemes with, because the color schemes, I can pick different color schemes and put them on. They're kind of like with the pins, except many tens of thousands of dollars, etc. But I'm thinking about doing some sort of maybe a fairy design or something where we could do 2 different versions of it, or maybe even 3 or 4, like a day and a night version, like Sunchild and Moonchild, or a fairy that maybe there's a regular fairy and there's a zombie version. You can see why people like Pop Funko vinyls, why they keep the same mold so many times, because it costs so much to make, but they'll just change the color. So I'm trying to think of characters of mine that would work with different color schemes, but the same actual shape.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot
And
of
that's
sense.
one of the things that's why if you're a Patreon person, that's our $10,000 goal up there is to make a new mold for those, and to make one that only the Patreon people can buy and say, hey, you guys can get the zombie one and everybody else gets the regular one, and anybody can buy the regular one. But I want to make something special for the people who helped us out there. That is the plan, but I'm liking suggestions for that. A lot of people have suggested things like seated characters, but we need one that is standing. They need to be about the same size. The head needs to be about the same proportion of the body. Things like mermaids don't make a lot of sense because it's hard to make a mermaid standing up that you could use multiple times.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Speaking of mermaid, Katie Tully says, do you think you would ever do a mermaid-themed mini painting?
Oh yeah, I've done probably 200 of them. I've done quite a few. I don't know if I've done any here on Twitch. I'm sure I probably have, haven't I?
Make My Clay says, did you already run out of the lunar...
Oh, Luna Moths!
Luna Moth.
I don't know. Have we, Maddie? I have not checked my email today.
We have 3 left.
We have 3 left. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, well, those might go soon. For those of you who, you might remember, I don't think it's dark enough to make her glow in the dark.
Probably not.
But she totally glows in the dark. She's so pretty. Luna Moths is the Patreon exclusive pin right now. For people who are already Patreon pin collectors, you've already gotten her, or she's on her way. If you are not, or were used to be, but you aren't currently a Patreon pin collector, this is the Patreon exclusive Luna Moths. She's a painting that I did for the Pop Gallery at Disney World, and she glows in the dark in different areas depending on which pin you have. Some of them, like the little moons in her hair, glow. Some of them, like the moths, glow. Some of them, her eyes glow. Some of them, everything glows, and she's lovely, but we only have 3 of them left. So people who were theoretically to join up at Patreon tonight, if you are one of the next 3, if not, don't yell at me. We've got another cool pin that you'll be getting in July, don't worry. And you'll get the June pin of the month either way, which is Orca Magic. And she's done. I don't think, was she ready last time? I think we just finished her. The actual finished pins last Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I had the printout of her.
That's when we
So
just...
this is the June pin of the month. People can just buy her on the website, but you get her automatically if you're a pin collector at Patreon. And if you're a pin collector at Patreon, you also get whatever the Patreon pin is at the time. And the more that we come out with, the more you keep getting the Patreon only pins also, which makes it worth your while.
Okay,
shipping, etc. Yeah.
Tigger says, how about the different seasons, like your Pop Gallery exclusives?
Yes.
As vinyl?
As vinyls. Maybe. I would have to change them significantly because they are all characters that are sitting down. So, and they kind of need to be standing up to be a doll so they don't tip over.
And Kimber says, I feel a fairy mold would be good because you do so many fairies.
I do
Lots
do
of
a lot
options,
of fairies.
I think.
Yeah. That's very true.
You can just... Cassie says, may I ask how many total were made of Luna Moth pins?
I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A
There
bunch.
isn't really a way for me to always
think
find out, since some of them are
Large amount?
not a large amount.
I mean, that
it was
I don't know.
enough for. I'm trying to think. Usually at Patreon, we have around maybe 800 people at Patreon, but not all of them are pinned tier people, and they were the only people who would have gotten them, so it would be less than that. It would be however many people were pin collectors during that amount of time that we handed out. Some of them are from our London place, some are from Kansas City, and some of them are shipped to one of either two places in Florida, depending on where we're at, and we're mailing everything. But it seems like on Patreon, maybe there's 400 or 500 people up there at any given time are pin collectors.
Something like that.
And that's the only way you can get the exclusive. So if we are running out of them, there's like 3 left now, then it would probably be
right. And
around
it's chronological,
that
guys. I'm not.
Yeah, it's chronological. It is very. We look at the timestamps. So when people joined, what time of day it was. If it was 2 minutes before midnight and it was still June or it was July, we really have to look at that. Especially last week, like with the mini paintings, I think that kind of reinforced that idea that's like, wow, sometimes things really do have to be in a queue and see what time it was. So I would estimate it was probably less than 500, probably more than 300 or 400.
So,
Yeah.
Jasmine,
If
what
I
do
were
you
to
think
guess.
of this
Yeah.
idea here?
What's that?
Darwin BC says maybe a
Yeah.
series of a different one, a vinyl for each month.
Oh, wow.
Would be
Yeah.
a lovely way to remember special events and birthdays, and it would also be a lovely way for Matt to rent 17 warehouses.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be a bit much for us to keep up with, and since they do cost between $10,000 and $15,000, and it's not a company paying it for, and not to make the actual statues, but just to make the metal mold thingies. But there is something that you might like that is made by the Bradford Exchange. Do you have a link to the perpetual calendar, Manny?
Probably.
If not, you can probably Google it. Are they in the United States? If they're international, they have it at Enchanted Treasures,
I don't know.
and they ship worldwide. But
Starling
we have,
BC?
because
Does
we
that
have
stand for
actual
British Columbia?
statues. Yeah, they are resin figurines, like the heavier, like fancy hand painted statues that we have. I've done a series of those that is one for each month, and it works with a wooden shelf system that is for a calendar. So you set like there's a Halloween one for October, and a Christmassy one for a wintry one for Christmas, etc. And then it comes with little tiles that you put out the days of the month on it, and then it has a different thing that you change, and you can use it every year because that's why it's a perpetual calendar. It's little sculptures. It's actually pretty neat. So if you're looking for something like that, that would be a very good option for you. But yeah, as far as the vinyl dolls go, that would be I've spent about a year on the first one, so that would be a hard thing to do. They take a long time to produce. It'd probably be different if I was a company instead of a person, but I mean, I'm kind of a company too, but not really.
I just hopped on. What is the painting with the elephant? Wow.
Oh, yeah, the elephant one is cute. I'm glad I picked that one to show everybody on social media. This is a little mini painting with a baby elephant, because I love elephants, that will be popping up on my website, strangeling.com. It's a little mini painting. We're going to put her in a frame and varnish her and everything, and she will be available this Thursday at 7 p.m. She is so popular, I might end up doing, like I said, she's kind of a study for a potential larger painting, and so we'll have prints and all that. Yeah.
Shaylee says, you mentioned 4th of July earlier. This is a reference neither you or I will get.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And I thought how cool it would be if Jasmine paints 11 from Stranger Things.
I have not seen
Somebody
Stranger
call Netflix.
Things.
I don't know what that means.
I have not. Is that
assume
a
it's
character?
a character.
Well, I have a cousin
It's
whose
probably the
last
little
name...
girl character that has powers, I'm guessing.
Oh, I wonder what Annie thinks about that.
I don't know.
I have a cousin whose last name is 11, like the number.
And Mimi's popping in and out,
She was born
and she
on
gave us
11/11.
hugs.
Oh, hi Mimi.
If you're still here, Mimi, thank you so
Yeah.
much. You could run a contest grand prize volunteering at Strangelings for the day.
Oh, really? Well,
They
we
do
might
it
need
at
it.
concerts.
We might. I don't know if it would be very fun to work for us. It's supposed to be putting things into envelopes and sending form letters to emails. But we might be looking in the future for some help at some specific conventions and stuff. So we will keep you posted on that. We
Yeah.
might need some help at Dragon Con, so Atlanta area people, we might be hitting you up. We would definitely reimburse you for your time.
Yeah, if there's any Atlanta area people in the room.
Mostly for setup and takedown at Dragon
Yeah.
Con. We're going to be actively looking for people. We will pay you, and we will also give you free Dragon Con pins, because you can have mine. We just need help setting up and taking down, basically. So even if you're there for Dragon Con, as long as you're there like a day or two before or a day after, or if you live in Atlanta already, let us know, because
Yeah,
we might need,
I think I have I think I have some friends lined up, but
yeah,
I can anyone.
we probably do, but
Yeah.
you know, we always need backup people for. It's not fun. It's gonna be carrying boxes and unloading things, but we will give you money and pins. So
That'd
that's
be so
great.
cool to
Yeah.
help. I think these guys don't understand.
It's
actual work.
stressful. It's more like working at Costco or something. It's not fun. It's not handing me paintbrushes or anything.
I think
It's like,
having
yeah.
if we were to have a contest or something, and
Oh no, I would not. That would make me feel weird. No.
hear me out though.
No, I would. Okay.
If we were having a contest, not for this Dragon Con or anything, where a fan would help out, I would already have the job set up, and it would actually kind of be pleasurable in some regard.
I think the person who lost the contest would be the person who has to work for us.
That's
I don't know. It is not. A lot of it is not. The painting is a fun thing.
Yeah, it's mostly me telling you, you're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
Hang that up there.
Yeah.
No, you have to hang up all these. Okay,
Complicated talking
yeah, it's-
to website companies about orders that haven't gone through properly and why
Well,
the
that's at
software is
home.
not
We're talking
working.
about
Oh, at conventions. Yeah, that's
if-
gonna be.
No, if
yeah.
it's anyone helping us at home,
Yeah.
I would need I would bet that,
Oh, okay.
because not everyone's suited for that.
Apparently not. But no, at convention would be pretty easy. It would be more like walking from a van to the convention hall / hotel, putting a box there, and just do that a million times.
Yeah,
And
it's convention stuff. we're
It's
talking about.
not fun. Yeah. But you get some Dragon Con pins. But I can pay you with. I can give you money too. But we need some sort of help, because we're in the past we've always been, for those who haven't seen us talk about it in previous episodes, we've always been down in the art show, which is a relatively small area in the basement of the Hyatt. This coming year they've combined the art show, and it's under the same jurisdiction as the people who are running the dealers / vendors room over in the America's Mart, and that's further away, and I'm not sure about the parking issue, and we have a much bigger area. It's like 30 feet wide, so it's many times larger than we're used to, and it's just Matt basically setting up, because I think I have to fly in after the show has just started. I forget, there's something complicated happening. But so it would be, a lot of carrying boxes. But we do definitely need help this year, and Matt might have some things already lined up. But if not, and you're interested, and you will either be at Dragon Con, including a couple days before, and it's maybe the night after.
It is it's physically demanding.
It is physically demanding, so you've got to carry heavy. I can't carry some of those boxes.
Right, it's physically demanding.
It is. It's more something, again. It's more like working
Ian,
at a warehouse than it is doing fun artsy stuff.
We're not paying for any sort of airfare. That's why we're.
No, that's why. Yeah, no. People in Atlanta, I've already got to pay for my own airfare to get there. At least we don't have to bring the cats. Not that I don't like bringing them places, but often when we drive to Atlanta, it's because we're going up to Kansas City to our other house, and we have to have all three of our cats with us, and that's always fun during rush hour. Also, too, I don't know if it's an incentive, but you will get a badge as a worker if you come there, because we have
these people are actually they're
badges.
glamorizing this idea too much.
Oh no, guys,
let's
don't.
Kill it,
it's not good.
It's not what you guys think.
I don't know. Well, hey, to be fair, if you get some of those Dragon Con pins and then get paid too, that might be worth it. And a badge. I don't know what Dragon Con badges
if you don't
cost.
show up, I would blacklist you forever.
Oh my gosh.
I will
hire people to make your life awful.
Yes,
I am not above that sort of thing.
No, I would really.
I really am not.
I'm serious too.
Yeah, I'm seriously people.
Nope.
Yes. it is. I would probably, and this just sounds like a jerk move here, but I would probably have you sign a contract and a non-disclosure agreement before doing so to make sure that you show up. So it would be a job.
Yeah.
In fact, something that my lawyer makes me do. I don't care about that.
My personal friends rather than like people that are already interested in Jasmine's artwork.
Yeah.
It's just easier that way.
But if anybody wants to help, let us know. We're taking backups. At any rate, I'm using the same color to highlight both the skin of the zombie girl I'm painting here. You can't tell she's a zombie yet, but in my head I can see her. She's a zombie. And then also the little bee girl here, the bee princess. The thing is, right now I'm not using a lot of color. It's going to look kind of like a marble statue because I've got highlights and lowlights, etc. that I'm working on. But I will be going through, not so much on the zombie because I want her to look like she's kind of dead. But the bee girl, if you look at the pin design, again, this is a printout of the line art I did for the original pin design. She's got kind of a peachy tan skin tone. So even though I'm using the same color to do the shading on the zombie girl as the bee girl's not going to look like a zombie. She's going to look peachy keen with her little suntan because I'm going to put some different warm tones on top of her after she has been shaded out. Yeah.
Amy said that she just boxed up that skeleton of the sail catfish.
Oh, excellent! I'm excited to see that. I have not seen that before, and I collect oddities and bones and many things like that, so I'm very excited for that. And I think a lot of those channel catfish, a lot of the different catfishes have very interesting skeletons, so that is
a lot of people
wonderful.
said they've already set up for cons themselves.
Oh, there you go.
Amy says she has stagehand friends in Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Stuff like that.
That's good. Well, it's good to know. We'll probably know a bit more when it gets closer to the date, like in the next few weeks. Yeah.
What I'm concerned about is when I'm pulling the trailer.
Yeah.
Where to park the trailer?
I don't.
Because I don't have a problem with the van.
Has anybody here set up over at America's Mart before at DragonCon? I don't know if anybody in the room is an artist who does DragonCon or sells toys or video games at DragonCon or whatever, but if anybody knows much about setup, we're liking to hear about that because we've never had to set up at America's Mart. We've always set up at the Hyatt, and we've always stayed at the Hyatt, so we just take the elevator down or park in the valet parking that is like already in the basement. We're not sure what's going to happen with it. So any advice is welcome. I guess Carrie and them would probably know a bit about that.
Is it America's? Which one are they in?
That's the dealer's room. That's where I think Tammy's been up, or Deanna's been up there. Somebody else, Deanna's been up there. Mm-hmm. So I do have some friends that have set up there before. I know that because they close an hour early and they come over to the art show and they're like, "Hi guys, nice not to be working, isn't it?" You know.
Right. Also, with the like some of the people that say, "Hey, I'd love to help you," I don't want to. I'll say my con experiences are probably very different than your con experiences, and I want you.
I've never seen the dealer's room, for example.
Right. Yeah. I want you guys to only enjoy cons.
Yeah.
And not think of them as work, because once you do that, it's a little different.
Well, this would not be people working at the convention; they would be setting up and taking down.
That's true.
So when the convention is actually open, they could go just walk around and do whatever.
Yeah.
And you get a free ticket. That's pretty nice.
We have a raffle in 4 minutes.
Oh wow! And this is for the Cruella keychain, correct?
Yep. Pretty sure. Let me double check.
I think so. Usually I do it kind of like at perceived value, and I know it's from Disney, but
yes, ma'am.
It is the less expensive of the price tags on them. So, oh, and she's so pretty. The only thing is you don't see as many of the sad puppies in this one as the painting.
But like if you only put one car key on that, you can start up your awesome 1940s looking mobile and just race down the street like Cruella.
Yeah, 50s. Yeah. That's a very 50s-y movie. / early 60s. Yeah.
I totally agree. I used to help run events, like mini Comic-Cons and gigs.
Oh, gotcha.
And it is not glamorous.
It isn't. It's, again, it is more of the sort of jobs that a lot of people I know who do, union forklifting or something like that. It's more that than it is Hollywoody fun times. But
Yeah, talking to 10 people for 10 hours a day is just hard.
No, that's not the part I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual, finding where to park, waiting for 3 hours while some cop yells at you because you're not supposed to be parked there, or, stuff, but carrying huge boxes that are bigger than you are, and people saying, can we help you with that? And then they want money from you, and it's, I hate that sort of thing.
TNG says they play Russia's working man the entire time, by the way. Probably. That's what I am. Alright, I'm gonna get some cashews.
Go for it, babe. But
I did not. The cashew didn't.
Gesundheit? Oh, okay. Have people said that to you before?
They did a long time ago.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't ever see the chat room, so I don't know what people are saying unless Matt says it out loud to me. But these here, if I show you,
The highlights.
oh, there you go. That's what I'm working on now. Actually, I'm doing the highlights on the skin tones. If you look at her on this side, you can tell her skin tone is a bit darker. Oh, thank you, babe. 2 cashews for me. Oh, I can't talk, so I got Costco now. Okay. Anyways, like I was saying, she's looking up at the viewer, and this is meant to be a portrait piece. If it is meant to be like a kind of reflection, sad piece, I might have a character that's looking away from the camera, and then I would want the shading, the highlights to be on the opposite side of her face, so it draws attention to the fact that her pupils and her irises are looking away from the camera / viewer / companion, or you who are looking at her, basically. But her, this is meant to be kind of a portrait, and I'm gonna make her a zombie, but she doesn't look super zombie-ish yet. She kind of looks like me if I didn't have blush on or something. And I have kind of done very similar as far as shading on her face, hands, arms, etc. This is an easy one because I've already got a picture to look at that I designed a year and a half ago. She was the July anniversary pin up at Strangeland last year. But I will be adding some clear tones on top of these that will change very much the colors of their skin.
Jasmine.
Just by looking at them. Yes.
That was Moobot saying, hey.
Oh, who won the Krill Lab?
Well, I have to find out.
Oh, you don't know yet? Oh. Uh-oh.
Open all the software here. Lady Dracula 666.
That is a great name. Congratulations, Lady Dracula 666. It sounds like you might get along with Cruella DeVille. But that is a pretty nifty keychain, and she's only available from the Walt Disney Company. So you've got to be at Disneyland, Disney World, or use a Disney shopping service like your WDW store if you live outside the country or can't go to California or Florida to buy her. I don't get to make those myself. I don't get them myself. I buy them at Disney World and I bring them to you guys. And I painted the painting, so that's pretty cool. Now it's probably because we're talking about Disney, and now I'm just thinking about Dumbo.
Huh.
I haven't seen the live action Disney Dumbo movie, but everybody told me it was good that saw it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. It had Danny DeVito in it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean...
And so you already talked about Steve Guttenberg, now you're talking about Danny DeVito. You've got the A-list right there. No, that's fine.
Wait, how are they
We're just talking about Disney artists, or Disney performers, and how those wouldn't necessarily be the first 2 that you thought of. But this is the deep tracks right here. Put a tiny. I don't usually put a lot of pure white, like titanium white, in skin tones unless I'm wanting a very directed light source. And I'm putting a little bit in the same colors I've mixed in the gesso of the background on these because I am going to be glazing over with a different color. Usually when I use plain white paint, like not adulterated anything, it's going to be something like a reflection or the sun or a candle. Whatever the brightest thing in the painting is, I will use pure white in. But when I'm going to glaze over it with a darker or a more saturated hue of a color, then I will sometimes, because it's kind of like, it will look like a jewel coming through a piece of stained glass. It will look lovely. I promise. It might look kind of gray and boring right now. I'm gonna get my hair dryer out real quick to make sure it's dry, so when I do put color on top, it doesn't look all smudgy and gross. You know, it's funny, Andy, somebody was mentioning that they thought this one was a painting up here, and he said it doesn't usually have a white thing around the outside.
Yeah.
But my color proofs from Disney do the canvases.
Yes, they do.
They do. Usually they have something written like, not for sale, copyright Disney on them or something like that, but...
Because they're not for sale.
And I got the color up for Madame Leota, but I can't give her away until the painting actually comes out.
Gee whiz.
And there are a few people who are in the RSP for that. So for those, I'll show the Madame Leota for those who have not looked yet. I think I showed her off last time. Where is she? Oh, I did have her. I've got like stacks of paper everywhere. My office is a mess. Here we go. We're talking about Haunted Mansion. Madame Leota is going to be there in August 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. It's for several days, and I myself will be there on the 7th and 8th of the Haunted Mansion Disneyland California event that happens after hours. And they are selling the original painting I did of her, which is the one here in the background. And then they're also debuting merchandise. It's not just t-shirts and mugs. They've got all sorts of stuff like prints and postcards and magnets and all that sort of good.
That sounds
good
pretty
stuff.
cool.
And they're going to be debuting that at the Haunted Mansion event, and they're doing it via Disney's RSP software, which is a random selection process, since they have received more requests than things exist. If you're going to the special event and you're wanting to they basically do a lottery to see if you're allowed to buy something, which sounds ridiculous, but you kind of need to at Disney when it's this sort of thing, because there's only one original painting. Kind of like with the minis that I do, you know, it's like there's only one of them, so you gotta get that. But I know a couple people have told me that they have put their RSP request in for the original Madame Leota, but it is random, so if you haven't yet, you can still technically do that. It's on my event pages. And they will have the other merchandise, and the prints and the canvases and the t-shirts and all that stuff will be in California and Disney World in Florida after the event. Not immediately after, but they're just debuting it at the 50th anniversary party for the Haunted Mansion, and then they'll have other stuff later, depending on what's left, I guess. I don't know as far as the limited editions, and of course the original painting, there's only one of them, and may already be sold.
That will be one spooky cup of coffee.
Yeah. It looks like it's the, you know how Disney makes a couple different styles of mugs, Maddie? Matt's bought almost, I think, one of each of my Disney mugs that has come out.
I love them.
This is the shorter, wider style of mug, as opposed to the angled kind of latte style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they both hold a ton.
They both hold, like, I don't know, 5 cups of coffee.
Think. They're
yeah.
big.
Yeah, if you consider a cup of coffee as being 5 ounces, then yeah, they hold like 6 of them.
There are those crazy Disney mugs, though. I mean, I've seen them in other stores that I don't know how much they
that are like
super.
Well, those are made for like soda. I don't think those are made for like espresso. They're for coffee.
Yeah, they're huge.
I am not a coffee drinker, so I'm not a person.
Next time we're there, I'll show them to you.
I
They're
do like
crazy
huge
big.
mugs, though.
I don't know how many ounces those hold.
This is the biggest mug I've ever seen, but
you guys know what I'm talking about at Disney, right? They'll have like a character on them, and they won't be a normal. Even Jasmine's is too big to call a normal portion.
Yeah.
But they'll be like, I don't know how many cups of coffee would. It's crazy.
Well, maybe people are on vacation and they're in the wrong time zone and they're just trying to get situated.
How many mugs were made? I think I might have 6. A ton. I don't
know.
know.
No, there's more than that. Somebody asked me the other day, and
someone said they thought they might have 6.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, I thought you were saying I. When you say it, Maddie, I think Maddie's saying it. I don't know. Somebody's writing it down.
Yeah.
But somebody asked me the other day about what types of mugs there were, and I'm like, I don't have a way of looking that up, but I can look in my kitchen, and I looked around, and then I was like, well, I know there was an Alice one. I don't know where it is, and it turned out later it was in the dishwasher.
There's one,
and the dishwasher was going. So,
there might only be one that is both styles, and it's Belle.
Belle. Mm-hmm.
Am I
think
correct?
that's the only time. That's the only one that we have that's in the short style and the big style. But
Right.
we only know this from going to Disneyland and Disney World. It's not like they send me a list of
I just
stuff
buy
they've
them every
done.
time I see them.
Yeah, when we're at a show, or I have to go autograph stuff. Matt buys mugs because he likes drinking coffee, and there you go. So, let me at least try a second more. I'm gonna run up and get some of the blue stuff off my fingers. Well, before I do that, the Corey Helfer Gallery has asked me to tell everybody, and I did this on Facebook and Instagram, but I'll tell you on Twitch also. Hello Kitty original painting has sold, so please do not keep calling them. That sounds like a joke almost, but I've gotten texts from multiple workers up there, and apparently people keep calling trying to buy the Hello Kitty painting. It is already sold. She's gone. They might do prints and merchandise. We don't know yet.
She was gone before she was. I don't know. But that was so crazy.
It was crazy because we were like walking around through the swamps by our house, and I was getting texts from the gallery. I'm like, can you let everybody know right away? This is already sold. We can't get any more phone calls about this. And I'm like, well, that's really cool. It makes me sound pretty neat, but I don't know how to tell people I'm not at home right now, so I had to wait a couple hours, and I probably got more phone calls. I'm sorry, Corey Helfer Gallery. You guys are awesome, and your workers are very nice. But I apologize in advance. There's worse problems to have out there. I am not complaining. I'm happy people like her. But she is definitely already sold.
Hey, Jasmine.
The show doesn't even open until the 29th, and they already did the preview. So, yeah.
I have found some fun facts.
Oh.
That I'll read to the people.
Okay. So when I go up to the bathroom and wash my hands, you can
read. If they're too weird, I won't read them.
Well, are they family age appropriate, etc.?
I'll make sure if there aren't. I will vet them. Now this is cool. I know we have a lot of British people in the room. Listen to this. 1 billion people tuned in to see Prince Charles and Lady Diana get married. Okay, so that sounds like, I mean, that was a ton of people. It was even more people back then, percentage-wise, than what we have population on Earth. To give some context to that figure, just 10.5 million viewers watch Kim Kardashian's wedding, her 2011 wedding to Chris Humphries, wherever that is. So forgive me for not knowing who Chris Humphries is. But isn't that crazy? 1 billion people watch that. This is another fun fact. The first commercial U.S. cell phone, we're talking about maybe the ones that are similar to the ones in American Psycho that they're carrying around, weighed 2 pounds. Now, 2 pounds doesn't sound like it's very heavy, but it is. I weigh a lot of packages, and 2 pounds is actually fairly heavy. Oh, cool. You know, I can't remember if I saw that ceremony or not. The last thing I think I watched that was of British import live was the Queen Mum's funeral. I think that's what I watched, and that was kind of sad. But man, how old was she when she died? They have some serious longevity in that family. Those Windsor folk. So, what year was that? Was that like 1980 or something? I'm trying to remember when that happened. I remember being around. I remember that my older sister was obsessed with Princess Diana. 1981. That's when it was. But yeah, my sister was obsessed with Princess Diana, and she went around talking in a British accent, and we told her, stop it. And she refused to admit that she was speaking in a British accent.
Haven't been to England recently? Just from watching TV?
She had probably not been anywhere but Missouri and Kansas at that point.
Yeah, when I come back from
100? The Queen's mom was 101 years old, Jasmine.
Yeah, she was.
When she died, and that was 2002. I think I was talking about the last thing I watched. I think that was something live like that from the UK. But I could be wrong. The Queen's mom's funeral.
Oh, man.
She was 101 and 238 days old. Well, Jane, how many seconds? Come on, don't stop there. Yeah. But yeah, she seemed pretty cool. I remember we were once walking in I think it's St. James Park, and all these people were dressed in the nines. They looked super crazy fancy. Yeah, we didn't figure it was the queen's husband, who's a prince. I don't understand that. Yeah, he's a consort. He's a.
He's a consort.
Yes. Anyway.
I didn't say he was a concubine. I said it was a consort.
A concubine.
Yeah, the queen's concubine. No, the queen's
consort. Yeah, we saw them like
natural-born.
amazingly fancy outfits, and they were all.
Everybody's hats. Oh my god.
And many of them were venerable.
That's a nice way to say it.
I'm a nice guy. Many were venerable, so I was like, this is some
wealthy looking old people.
Cool,
yeah.
Cool stuff going on here.
And they had all the horsies out with outfits.
Yes, and massive amounts of guards. So these people were somehow invited to
oh yeah, and they were all
birthday.
And all the police were like they're having a garden party, like one of the invitational garden parties that is there, and
sounded fun.
For Americans, it's like, oh, look, it's stuff. You know, we don't really have things like that here. Not that one would talk about.
And the horses were all over the place.
And the horses were lovely.
I wonder how many horses they have.
The queen must have a lot of horses. I assume she owns all the horses, right? Because they had extra horses out that day. They do it at funerals too.
Or they could have borrowed them from the police force.
That's true.
Shadow Dancer says, "Finally out of my class. How's it going? How's it going?"
It's going good so far.
Cool. What sort of class was it? Was it dance class?
Was it clay making class, like pottery? It seems like a lot of people
definitely owns all the swans. We know.
I know that. Yes, that is an actual true thing. That should be one of your facts.
She owns Mother Goose. The Queen owns Mother Goose.
I don't think she owns the gooses. The gooses are EU owned. They're European gooses, mostly there.
Okay, I'm going to ask the room a question, and also whatever you think, Jasmine.
Okay, can I talk about my painting real quick?
Please.
Okay. I'm just going to say this because I was waiting for this to dry when I went upstairs. It's dry now, and I'm going to be using water and a few different highly pigmented small amounts of paint to change what their flesh tones look like, even though they look very similar right now. But go ahead, love.
Oh, so I've seen, through my life, two incarnations of Mother Goose. One where she actually is a goose, wears a bonnet, has little clothes, it's...
Like it'd be on paper towels or something.
And one where she is like an older woman, very grandmotherly.
Kind of crone looking, like a witch with a hat.
She can be, or she can have very smooth skin and also wearing a bonnet and riding a goose.
Like a mother
riding
a goose.
In the room's opinion, and yours, Jasmine, which is the more accurate representation of Mother Goose? An actual goose or this elderly lady?
I think it's really supposed to be the elderly lady. I could be confusing it, but one of the books I had that was called Mother Goose's Something Stories at the beginning, it had a woman, and it said that she was kind of a fictional character that a lot of folk tales were made about, kind of like how we use the term old wives' tale, like you would say Mother Goose. Like it wasn't a specific person.
Seeing that.
But I don't know if that was true or not, or they're just, random books you sell to children. But
okay, so two people in the room said elderly lady or old lady.
But in America, there are a bunch that have a goose, like with a hat
it's just
on
a goose.
A dress on it, and it's a goose. And
like she squawks stories at you.
Yeah, and then our gooses here in America tend to be the Canada goose, which has kind of is invasive in a lot of areas.
They are, but you know what? They're a lot nicer and sweeter in London.
Oh yeah, these are Canadian British geese. No,
I guess so.
But in Europe they have a lot of the it's just called the European goose, or they have the Egyptian gooses that are there too. Remember those, Mandy, with the neat eye makeup? And they look like
Yeah.
the ones that you'd see
Oh, those
like
are
in
beautiful.
hieroglyphics on murals. They look like old-style gooses.
They're kind of ridiculously
amazing.
symmetrical.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Versus our muscovy ducks here.
Muscovy ducks,
who have
yes.
very bizarre. They're asymmetrical because of the strange
they look
bumps
like somebody
they have.
wadded up bubble gum and just stuck it all over their face. I saw them in Africa also. I assume they're Muscovy. They're probably from Eurasia or Russia or somewhere originally. Muscovy ducks.
Ian says, I've always pictured her as a goose. Shaylee says, I think I saw a goose like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same character with a small bonnet or apron or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she turns the pages with her wings as she reads.
Yeah, sometimes there's a lady who's reading it like she's a mother or grandmother type, and then sometimes there's an actual bird that is apparently telling you stories. I don't know. Maybe it ties in with the storks.
The stories are the same. It's just...
Yeah,
really
I mean, it's all going to be Hansel and Gretel and stuff. I think it was kind of a pseudonym sort of name for people to put stories that didn't have a specific, like, Brothers Grimm or Charles Perrault sort of thing tied to it. You know?
Right.
Because other fairy tales at the time you could kind of
And what
figure
makes
out who
her a
wrote them.
mother? What gives her that title?
The boy goose does, Mandy.
I'm putting up a
when they fall in love and they love each other very
YouTube
much.
channel, and he wanted you to mention it if that's okay.
Oh yeah. If you ever get tired of my blathering and would like to see highlights of these videos, you can look at Kieran's World on YouTube, and he edits them and puts them in a more parsable sort of mode.
Perfect description.
Yep.
Mel Bill says, when my college choir visited England, we were touring London. I bet you had a blast.
That's fun.
And one spot was a churchyard that was a spot of a large mass burial during the plague.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We were told the woman who inspired the Mother Goose character was buried in that mass grave.
Oh, wow.
Wow,
really?
that's interesting. I have no idea if there is any accuracy to the story. I have been on tours where I immediately know that I'm getting false info. But that makes me like the tour more for some reason. I don't know why I love that.
Sometimes though, tours, you will hear very specific and accurate info. So that's
definitely.
hard to, that could kind of go either way.
It depends on the tour.
It's like saying I saw it on a website. You don't know where.
But sometimes if
if it's a ghost tour, they sometimes will play with the facts a little bit. But obviously.
Well, that's what makes the ghost tour the most fun.
That's true.
And Jajoki Mom says, Elizabeth Foster Goose might have been the original Mother Goose.
Really?
I did not know that. Of course, I'm not. It's not like I'm Wikipedian.
No, I was gonna say you think I would do. I've painted a lot of fairy tales and nursery rhymes and all that, but
But Jasmine, the first cell phone weighed 2 pounds.
Whew.
And that's
wow.
Yeah, that's like a American Psycho cell phone.
I was gonna say that's a Christian Bale sort of Patrick Bateman.
The Motorola Dynatec 8000X. If it's the first one, why would it be an 8000X?
Because it has the word Dyna in it for dinosaur, and like the dinosaur.
1983.
Wow.
Do you know how much it costs? Okay.
In 1983 money or?
In 1983 money.
The equivalent?
No. In 19 or the equivalent. I have both facts.
Oh, okay. What is that?
If I had the cash in my pocket in 1983, I would pay $3,995 for this.
God, what is that in today's money then?
$9,410.
$9,410.
For a phone that just calls someone.
And you can't even get on. You know, I would pay that for a phone that only works as a phone, so I didn't have to do emails all the time. No.
Oh, Shadow Dancer. I asked her about her class. I asked her if it was a dance
class. Oh, what is it?
And this sounds fun, Jasmine. This sounds like if you and I had time to do a class, wouldn't this be fun?
Yeah.
A 10-month course on herbalism and apothecary and foraging for herbs.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Foraging for herbs? That sounds lovely.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't, or herbs as my British.
Oh, there you go.
And I won't say why Eddie Izzard says it should be pronounced that, but he uses an expletive.
Yes.
I do find myself, we have a tremendous amount of mushrooms on the ground.
My gosh. In Florida?
Yeah. I love mushrooms a lot, and I see them, and I just want to eat them. And I'm terrified because I know that some are
very
poisonous or might have funny effects on you, and I just want to avoid that, but they look so tasty.
Yeah, sometimes they'll pop up in our backyard, and it looks like 8 bushels of portobellos were just like dumped out there, and it's like, can I eat these? When I
Oh.
was a kid, we would go regularly throughout the year, and we would
Morels,
forage
right?
for mushrooms. Usually morel mushrooms. There's a handful of them that you can eat. There's the what are they called? Hen of the woods mushrooms. There's the ones that grow on old logs. In Missouri, pretty much any mushroom that grows on a don't hold me to this, legal people.
No.
But yes, any
this
sort
is
of
what we heard
any
once.
sort of mushroom that grows on a tree in Missouri. So says Mother Goose. That is one that you can eat. That is not poisonous. So we would often forage our food when we were little, and those would be things we would eat. But since I grew up in the Midwest and moved out to Florida, they have things that look like our mushrooms in Missouri and Kansas, but are not those mushrooms and are extremely poisonous, even if you touch them. So just because a mushroom looks like a mushroom that you know, don't try to eat it.
I one time looked up this resort. It was in Arizona, and they said they had mushrooms there too.
Oh gosh,
They don't even grow them there, and they were special mushrooms.
You're thinking of peyote, I think. That's a cactus.
No, they also had some mushrooms too.
They had. Oh well, that's
like
that's on your own dime, honey. You can do that if you want.
Choose your own experience.
Choose your own. Yeah, don't eat. Well, maybe from a trusted friend.
Oh,
but don't find those things in the wild, love.
Lately, I've been rediscovering my love for the Choose Your Own Adventure books and the Endless Quest books from Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if any of you have ever read those, but they're a lot of fun. And sometimes when Jasmine's cooking, I'll read them to her.
I'm cooking supper or something. Maddie will sit there and read me the Choose Your Own Adventure or Endless Quest, and he'll ask me, "Hey, do you want to go with the elves into the wood, or do you want to go with them into the cave?" And that's kind of fun.
Well, Jeanette has a mushroom ring. We call them fairy rings.
Yeah.
Near their home. You can get lost in them.
Here in Florida, we have a disproportionate amount of mushrooms, I would say, because how many different types of mushrooms did we see today, probably, just walking around the neighborhood?
I can't tell because
14, 15? It was a lot.
Probably, it's just insane.
Yeah, it's a lot. We get a lot of humidity here, and it's very warm. And especially when spring is turning into summer, we get tons of mushrooms here.
And I really honestly want to eat them all, so I just have to hold back.
Again, don't eat any mushrooms. And back in Missouri, you could take them to local universities and they would identify them for you if you weren't sure. If you're like, this mushroom keeps growing on my tree, is this one I can eat or one I should not eat? And you could take it to the university and they would tell you, hey, that's an edible mushroom, and you could eat it, and it was lovely. Or it's like, that's poisonous, why the hell did you bring it in here? And then you wouldn't want to.
Well, Jeanette, it says Jeanette UK. I believe you also call them fairy rings in the UK.
I think so. Well, yeah.
Well, they're
Maybe
I love that.
I
love those legends.
Oh yeah.
Be careful if you step into a fairy ring because you might suddenly age, much like
time moves differently in the middle of them.
Much like Rip and Winkle. Boom! Suddenly, 40 years have passed.
It's like in Mist of Babylon with Morgan Le Fay, and she wakes up and she's been in the fairy ring for a while, and there's a horse bones there where she tied her horse up because her horse lived and died in that same time period.
That's awful.
Not necessarily a true story. It's an interpretation.
Oh, Shaylee had to reload Twitch. But you know what, Shaylee? We've only been talking about fairy rings, so nothing cool.
Nothing cool or important. But
and eating mushrooms that we should never eat.
Yeah.
Yes, I officially
Twitch channel for that.
say do not pick your own mushrooms and eat them. That is my official stance on that.
I think I legally have to say that. But in Missouri, we had morel mushrooms, which they sell worldwide. We've seen them at Harrods in London. We saw morel mushrooms for 399 pounds for a kilo. Was that it? And these are not special mushrooms. These are ones you like put in pasta, you know?
I feel like I'm watching Breaking Bad.
Oh, no, they're regular mushrooms that you put in pasta, like you eat. Morel mushrooms. And they sold them there at Harrods.
They sell them at that place with the guy who sells that chicken.
No, it's not Breaking. It's not that sort of mushroom.
It's not Breaking Bad. I keep confusing real life with Breaking Bad.
I bet you do.
And Better Call Saul, I guess. I wonder when that next season's coming out.
Oh, probably
been a while.
Fairly soon. I'm trying to think when that last one ended. Wonder if it will pick up when he's working at the cinema roll place.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Shaylee, I love those scenes, by the way.
Yeah,
Mall work
it
is.
shows the mall.
I don't know if anyone here has
Anybody
worked
else
in
worked
an
at
American
a mall before?
I have worked at 2 places in a mall. I think Jasmine can correct me if I'm wrong. I worked at Fridays.
Are you counting Mimi's?
In a mall?
Okay.
No, Mimi's was in the parking lot of a mall. I'm not going to count that one.
That was in the parking lot of a mall. Deck the walls?
Oh, wait. 3.
Deck the walls?
3 places. I worked at TGI Fridays.
This was before he came to work for me. We're talking about decades ago.
This is
Rainforest
Cafe.
Yeah, Rainforest Cafe.
In the mall in Kansas City, Overland Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really sad that went away.
Yeah, that mall needed something, and that was it.
And Girl in the Barnes and Noble there, but that's pretty.
I like Barnes and Noble, but
I used to like going to American Girl with Ellie because she loved.
When you have a small child that's excited about it, it's different than going there as an adult and just seeing
then deck the walls, like you said, and that's where I first learned about framing.
Yeah, before you worked at Michael's and everything. So I put some peach in pink and a bit of more pigment onto her skin, so she looks more like a realistic version of the character that obviously is from my line art I did for the pin sign. But on the zombie girl, I've used some kind of red rusty blood colors and some blues and some greens, and I'm working on her skin tones by mixing a lot of water and going on top of the areas I've already kind of shaded in, like the dark parts and the light parts and the highlights and the shadows. It's going to look like it's like a piece of transparent cling film that's on top of it that kind of matches what's behind it, but you're adding color on top of it. And that's how you can use the same colors to make very different skin tones on 2 different characters. Or if you want to look at it more specifically, here's one here. She's Egyptian, obviously she's from Africa, so she's going to have darker skin. Or this girl here, I didn't know this was an Indian elephant or an African elephant. It's a made-up fairy elephant, but I kind of gave her a pan-ethnic sort of brown skin tone to match that, but you can do that with any sort of layering of color after you've already put the main bones of the face and the eyes in the right place. If you're trying to make realistic looking people, or kind of realistic looking people.
My favorite way to discern elephants, Indian and African, is to... Yeah, I love how they say the African elephant has a ear shaped like Africa.
And they do. They really do.
But gosh, both need kisses.
They both.
I remember that wonderful Indian elephant we saw when we were going up the hill, and I pet that cobra.
Oh, in India,
yeah,
yes.
In India.
Oh my gosh, yes. I've seen loads of Indian elephants in India. They are lovely elephants.
But even more so, we saw the cows and the horrible monkeys.
Oh yeah, everywhere has terrible monkeys.
Those are some naughty
monkeys. It's in some countries they stop being like squirrels or something and start being more like gang members or pirates or something. And you're like, watch out, lock your car. There's monkeys around, sort of thing. And it's really cute for a while, and then it gets kind of scary. And then you remember why you got your rabies shots and all that.
So I don't know which has the bigger ears.
African elephants have bigger ears, I believe. I'm pretty sure.
Kimber says Asian elephants have small ears.
Yeah, the African elephants have bigger ears.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You're right, because I think of them as flappy, and then I think it might be their climate is a little bit drier, and where the elephants roam
in Africa. As opposed to,
I don't know because they use those as fans, and they have all those veins.
Yeah.
Remember that's the way they cool
I don't know. A lot of the elephants I saw in Africa were like along the Zambezi River, and there were hundreds of them, and they were playing in the water. It looked like the Jungle Cruise at Disney or something. That was actually a pretty realistic depiction. They were squirting each other and having little babies hopping around, and it was picturesque and adorable. But so they were definitely congregating around where their water was. And they do have a terrible problem with poaching in a lot of parts of the world, including Africa. And I remember asking them, how many times has like a poacher come in here and killed an elephant? And they said, do you mean how many times today? And I was like, oh my God.
Horrible.
That is just, it made me feel sick. It was awful.
It's a thing that I can almost see, because I know they accept volunteers. it sounds like something that if you didn't have anything else going on, it would be for the greater good. Like go help defend elephants against poachers.
Like Botswana angels.
Yeah. I just adore them.
There are kind of
like Ong Bak the Thai warrior.
Pseudo vigilante groups that go around hunting poachers and things. I am not advocating that, but
I'll stop there.
That is a thing that people can do if they're
like
so
animals.
inclined. I like the elephants.
But poachers definitely need to be stopped. It's
ridiculous.
Stupid
the reasons behind it are idiotic. I won't go into
Yeah.
it here, but you can Google it. It's dumb. There's other things for that now.
So
Jasmine
and I aren't big hunters.
We're what? Oh,
hunters.
yeah, that's not hunting. Poaching is very different.
But I love the tar
Because we're
of blowing
vegetarians,
stuff
too.
up on July 4th. Don't get me wrong. I love firecrackers. I like making
these
little
are
tanks.
Yeah.
Jasmine
Oh,
and I,
we do.
we make these little tank machines.
We have tank battles
and we have
on
tank
4th
battles
of July
and,
every year.
We do it in a very safe way.
Yeah.
Jasmine's
Relatively.
father built this little arena just for the tank
He
battles.
lives on a big kind of off-the-grid farm in Missouri.
We have
So
buckets
it's
of
away
water.
from everybody's
We
houses.
spray the
and-
grass down.
Yeah.
It's very safe.
Yeah. And it's outside any sort of city or state boundaries as far as fireworks go, which is important.
So July 4th is a lot of fun for us.
It is. Yeah.
Nintendo duck hunting is fine.
Yeah, I was actually pretty good at that.
Yeah, I
Speaking as a nearsighted vegetarian, I was surprisingly good at Nintendo duck hunting.
since we're on Twitch, I feel it's pretty safe to say you guys probably don't have a lot of problems with video games. I feel that the things you do on a video game aren't necessarily the things you'll do in real life.
I sure hope not. Look at Zelda. How many bushes have you burned down and
Yes.
trees? You wouldn't do that just randomly walking around to see if there's a staircase under it.
I
haven't played a lot of video
Epona
games,
gets
but, yeah.
I beat the
Oh yeah,
out of
Epona. Oh my gosh,
Epona.
yeah. You just beat the tar out of your poor horsey.
when if you're in some of the more modern Zeldas that have Epona, you call her to come and then you just
you play a little
feed her
song,
till
and
she
then you just-
runs.
It's awful. Yeah.
Like
But you don't do that to real horses.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
only been I've been on the receiving
End of
hurt
negative
from-
horsey attention.
Yes.
No.
The idea of going on a photographic safari in Africa absolutely fascinates me.
Oh man, wish you were here when we were trying to plan. We were trying to get a date together to do a Jasmine sort of art tour in Africa, but
I
we
think
couldn't
Buddy's
get enough
in the
people.
room too. I mean,
Yeah.
he was very interested.
Yeah, there was a
in that
handful
also.
of you guys, but we could not get a time where the dates did not line up with some convention or something I had to do or something other people had to do. So that might be something we try again in the future if we can get more people interested, because I would love to show people the parts of Africa that I love and talk about artwork and do paintings or photos or sketches.
Instructional,
the whole time.
low-key.
Yeah, mix it in with tourism and like go and see fun stuff too. That'd be fun.
I would just
I'd
hang
love
in the
to do
back
that.
and
Provide moral support.
relax. Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yes,
The tour group that you went on, and that's the same gentleman that
Oh yes, I
Yeah.
went with a musician friend of mine, and
Yeah.
he was at the time doing a tour of Africa. It's the same friend that we went to
Vietnam,
with. A lot of the same friends, actually.
and he runs a really good tour. And they make them active. You go see a lot of stuff, but at the same time, they're pretty relaxing too. There's
Oh,
a lot
yeah,
of wonderful
I spent a
downtime.
lot of time with him, and he's a nice guy.
So that's important
Yeah.
on vacations.
Especially when you haven't been to a continent or a country before and you're trying to figure out what's the easiest way to get from here to here, and you want advice like, can I take an Uber here? How does this work? It's very nice to have somebody who will be honest with you. And that's nice. I'm taking some of the darkest blacks I will probably use in either one of these paintings and putting it in the pupils of the eyes. If you look at her, the darkest part of the pupil, and my characters, they tend to have extravagant eyelashes, and they're going to cast a shadow on the top part of their eyeball that is showing. So Usually on the top part of the pupil, the dark part of the eye, I make it very, very dark. I mix my own black colors because a lot of black paints are kind of gray, so I usually mix purple and Van Dyke brown and a handful of warm tones and cool tones, and I've got jars of those. On this one is going to be a bit different since I'm making her kind of heterochromatic. She's a zombie, so I want it to make it look like one of her eyes is not quite matching the other eye. So on one of them, I'm going to put a little bit more of the darker black, and I put kind of a blue cast over it. On this one over here, I've put a little bit, maybe half as much of the dark color on it, and I've put a warm kind of yellowy orange cast on it. And once she is completed, I'll start adding in some veins and things into her skin so she looks more zombie-ish while I'm working on her. But once that's completed, it will be a very different effect, even though I'm using some of the same colors for both of these paintings here. Now, these two here, this one is pretty much finished, the one with the elephant, and the one with the Pharaoh Queen here, her main character and her skin and everything is finished, and the body and the sketching is done. So all I'm going to be adding at the end of this is going to be things like hair color, detail in the wings, details in her accessories, jewelry that she's got and all that. So that will be things that I will be working on a bit later since I'm still in the initial stages of these two. I'm going to get them up to the same stage and then start working on them. And then also, at least for the last hour and a half of this broadcast, I'm not sure what time it is now. I can't really see a clock from here.
It is 5:30 our time.
Oh, okay. So probably not the next hour and a half because that would be now. I will be working on embellishing some of my masterpiece canvas editions because a lot of you have been asking, what does it mean when you embellish things? And for those of you who have not seen how I work on ACEOs, it's a similar process to those ones that I work on the big masterpiece canvases. The thing that makes them special and why they're limited editions as opposed to regular open ones that you could get at, Disney World or Pop Gallery or whatever, is that I go through and I paint little details. And those, they do have some of those at the Pop Gallery that are limited editions, so I paint details. But I'll do things like paint little flowers or change their hair or actually take the big canvas print, they're also quite large, and then paint things that make them slightly one of a kind. So it's like if you didn't get the original, you can get something that I've hand touched and actually, put on my easel, brought out my paints and painted something on. So I'm looking forward to showing that off too. In the meantime, now that I've added some color onto their faces, again, not a whole lot of color onto hers because she's supposed to already look kind of dead. She's already got a bit of a nice little blush suntan going on. I'll probably work on some more aspects to her skin tone once I've started adding in hair color and shading from her beautiful bee and all that.
I like that bee.
Yeah, I like that bee too. I don't know if I showed you, I didn't print it out. There is, for those of you in the United States, the Hamilton collection has just popped up the pre-order for the Bumblebee Dragonling figurine. So those of you who know Bumblebee Dragonling, she was a pin design and she's a painting, and she's got a little dragon curled around her leg, and she's got a cute little bee, and the dragon kind of looks like a bee. It's really cute. But they have the statues of it for pre-order at the Hamilton collection now, only in the United States because it's a US website and you can't legally accept payments from other countries because of currency conversions for when you ship it out. It has to match up with what the price was originally, and currency conversions fluctuate minute by minute. Everybody asks me that all the time. That's why I have a recorded spiel in my head. But those are up now at hamiltoncollection.com. If you search Beckett or Jasmine, you'll find it. And she turned out so cute, so hoping that one goes through.
Yeah, me too.
Bees and dragons and a fairy. It's pretty great. What I'm going to do now, since I put color around here, but I haven't done a whole lot of shading on the eyes, is I'm going to work on the eyelashes a bit. If you look at her, it kind of looks like she's got ghost eyelashes now. Like you can see where I've smudged in, I don't know how good this shows up on the camera. I've kind of smudged in the colors around her eyes.
See it pretty well.
Okay. But what I'm going to do on her and on her, you can see her eyelashes, again, they almost look clear. You can't really see them yet, but I've drawn the outlines of them when I was sketching her. I'm going to take some darker colors. I'm going to take some Dactazine purple and some Van Dyke brown and some Payne's gray and some raw umber and mix those together, and some, what's this one? the turquoise. Phthalo turquoise. I'm going to be working with that one too.
I'm gonna actually snag a coffee real quick and
Are you getting
some
sleepy, baby?
more cashews.
I'm talking about boring things like paint colors. So I'm going to outline the areas I did earlier that are threatening to disappear because of the colors I put on top of it. Again, when I have a sketch already, my sketches are all in paint. So if I put color on top of it, then the painting underneath starts to disappear a little bit, which I do not want to happen. So when in between layers, sometimes I go in and refine my sketch a bit. It's mostly an issue with things that are going to be very dark or very light. So with something like an eyeball, if it was the highlights or the cornea, like the white part of the eye that's around there, that would be the lighter areas. But if it's the eyelashes or the pupil of the eye, I really don't want to lose my original idea for that. So I'm going to go over that using a tiny little brush. Again, these are just like my regular brushes I usually get. But these are the new and far inferior version of the same brush. It's the same size bristle, same sort of material, golden Taclon, but it's a painted wooden handle instead of this wonderful, dynamic, soft. You gotta hold this for 18 hours a day. It's nice to have a cushion. It's like having a chair that is made out of iron instead of like a soft pillow or something. Anyways. So these are made out of wood, but these are the same exact brushes. They just have a different handle. Somebody was asking me last time how come some of my brushes look different, and that is why. But it's a very small brush. It's a size 0 script liner brush. Golden Taclon is the fiber. It's a man-made fiber, so they don't make it out of weasels or forest pigs or anything, minks or whatever people make. Squirrels. I know, you look at the list of brushes, it's like, it's like, what's a sable? Sable sounds pretty, oh wait, no wait, it's a type of weasel, and they kill them and pull out their fur,
They're so cute.
they are so cute. So you know what, if you use that brush for a long time, maybe it's worth your while, but I grind my brushes into the ground, and if I go through 3 brushes in a tiny painting, I don't want to kill any, yeah, I was going to say, if a squirrel died from my brush, I want to use that brush a long time, and I am not skilled in that sort of thing, so my brushes, I throw away constantly, so.
You torment your poor brushes.
I do. I don't think I use them right. I mean, the results I get are obviously okay, but I think I have friends like Larry Elmore. He had a brush he said he had for 35 years. You know, I've never had a brush for like more than a week or 2 or something. So he's oil painting though. These are acrylics.
Oh.
What's it?
It's made out of man, that Nintendo guy says.
Oh my gosh. You know, I might use that brush. That's like peanut butter solution. Sorry.
Totally.
Great movie. I watched that movie a lot when I was little.
We can watch it this summer if you want.
Oh, maybe we will. That's another one of those Rock de Mer's paintings, isn't it? Or films, isn't it?
Yes. That and of course Tommy Tricker.
Tommy Tricker, Stamp Traveler. And that weird Vincent van Gogh one that we watched. Remember that with Kachina? You kept falling asleep. It had horses in it.
There you go.
He was a Quebecois filmmaker that made a lot of interesting films for young adults in, what time period would that have been? The mid-80s?
Late 80s.
Late 80s?
Because,
yeah.
I don't know if, I
don't know how many of them were around then.
I may have not been the target audience at the time.
Probably not.
Especially
when you saw it when you're like 40. But
well, usually when Hollywood or Canada Hollywood targets a
That's
group,
what they call themselves.
when it's a
Canada
children's
Hollywood.
movie,
Yeah.
they want the kids usually look up to people around 3 years older than them.
I am.
It's like a weird formula.
It's like how 13-year-olds read 17 magazine. You know what I'm talking?
What's that?
17 magazine.
Yeah.
The people
exactly.
who read it don't tend to be 17, 18-year-olds. They tend to be 13, 14, 15.
Right.
Yeah.
It works with that too.
Yeah. That makes sense. If you're trying to look up to somebody as a influencer or something, it's going to be somebody older than you usually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make one of her eyes kind of regular. By regular looking, I mean non-infected. So I'm gonna make one kind of a, I don't know, I'm kind of going for a bluish green, but this one's going to be some browns and reds and colors yellows, bile colors that you would usually associate with the insides of your body as opposed to the outside of your body. No matter what colors your eyes are, this one will not be a color you probably want your eye to be. So that is kind of the fun in making zombies.
So Alien Lizzie read 17 magazine until she turned 17.
Ah, there you go. That's what I mean. I think people like to read it until they turn that age as if it's an aspirational thing to accomplish. But
I have never read it.
I did because I got a free subscription to it for some reason. I think I won a prize. Was it part of the spelling bee thing? I forget. It was something, and I got a subscription to 17 magazine when I was.
So is it basically like something like a Cosmo, but for younger people?
It's like I would compare it
and stuff?
A very PG-rated Cosmopolitan or a very less expensive Vogue teen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a connoisseur of teenage magazines. Not really. I've only looked at a few, but those are things I look at.
I only read Tiger Beat, and I still have a subscription.
Oh, that's just creepy, Mandy.
Tiger Beat.
Is that still around? Oh my god.
I have no idea.
I hope it probably is. I wonder who's in it now. I probably would not know their names even 10 years ago.
Anyone remember Tiger Beat? Grinchy just asked. Yeah, we're talking about Tiger Beat
right now. We are not talking. We are not talking. You are talking about Tiger Beat.
When I was, when the other girls, not other girls.
The other girls.
I'm not a girl.
Yeah. Don't limit yourself, babe.
No, I won't.
Okay.
We're talking about Tiger Beat. I remember the big one back then was Ricky Schroeder.
You like Ricky Savage?
No, Ricky Schroeder.
Oh, that's Ricky Spanish. Oh,
Ricky Schroeder is the kid that's from Silver Spoons.
Okay.
And then people then.
Oh, then he was on
then it was
a show I have not seen.
Corey's.
Oh, Corey's. That's what they make fun of on The Simpsons because Lisa.
Yeah, and those are the only Tiger Beat guys I remember.
Well, I remember 17 magazine used to have a thing in the middle that had like, hey, these are Hollywood actors you might want to go out with at the time, and the issue I had, like my free issue of whatever of 17, was River Phoenix.
Tiger Beat with Leif Garrett.
Oh my gosh!
That's
wow,
great.
That would have been a while back. Unless it wasn't. That's what they should be. They should go back to people in their 50s and 60s and just put them in Tiger Beat.
You know, that would be
just
great.
Just confuse
I would
a whole generation of young women and confused boys. Yeah, that'd be great.
Like Leif Garrett now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what if that was presented as an aspirational boyfriend and it was just know. Like that Donny would be a whole different sort of I don't know if people even read paper magazines like if they're teenagers anymore. They probably
River
look at
Phoenix
the
was the bomb back then. Yeah, I remember that a bit too.
But he was in the magazine that I got. I think it was from the Spelling Bee because it was Scripps Howard was the publishing company that made that at the time, and they were sponsoring my Spelling Bee thing, and I got like a free subscription to 17 or something like that, and it had River Phoenix in it, and I'm trying to think who else. Ethan Hawke, which is funny because I just saw him in that movie that Robin did the music for. That it had Roy in it. Yeah,
Ethan Hawke. I like that that remake that they made of Miss Havisham.
Oh, Great Expectations!
Yeah, Great Expectations.
Yes, he was in the one where Miss Havisham lives in Florida. Yes. Yeah, it had Robert De Niro. It had Gwyneth Paltrow, and it had who was the lady who played Miss Havisham in all of that?
I don't remember.
That was a very well done. It did not have that good reviews online, but I've seen it since I've seen it. I've seen it like 3 times, and I thought that was pretty good. But it was a reimagining of Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, but it took place in Central or South Florida. In her house, and that is fantastic. It reminds me of our awful courtyard out back, Maddie. Remember that? Like, yeah. In her house, though, it like didn't have a roof on it. It was supposed to be inside. I'm probably missing the point of the story, but I looked at her house a lot, and it seemed really nice. But it had Ethan Hawke in it, and he was an artist in it. He was a painter.
Right.
Which was neat. And he lived in Florida, so that was... Although when it came out, I don't think we lived in Florida yet, did we? Or was it around the time we moved here? What year was that? It would have been the late 90s or early 2000s.
It was early
2001, 2002?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. There we go. One of her pupils is gone a bit wonky. Sometimes when I keep sketching on top of sketches and painting on top of them, gotta redraw where their eyes are so their eyes don't start escaping from their head too much because it just gets scary.
Little orphan
And it's
Annie.
not that sort of scary. But yeah, there we go. That's looking better.
Renshi bought a Tiger Beat for the posters.
Is it the foldy outy things in the middle?
When I was little, I wanted posters of little animals usually.
A tiger poster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe
Plastic
cartoon characters that I liked.
Making the pupil on her left eye, the one that's going to be an uncomfortable neutral shade, is going to be red instead of the pupil on her other eye, which is darker. So that will automatically make you think, well, first of all, that's closer to the light source. Maybe it's a bit of a lens flare or flash thing in her eye, like a red eye thing. But it also might be that she's a zombie, so we don't know.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Melville said the one and only issue she read talked about Donny Osmond's sacrifice for God.
Ah.
Here's what it was. The elders of the church.
Yeah. I'm familiar with their church.
We're familiar with the church.
Yeah.
Had suggested the brother's hair was getting too long. And so they cut their hair. So,
wow.
you know, sometimes
That's
you have to
part of
sacrifice things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good on you, Donnie.
I mean, I did that one time when my hair got too tangled at the end. I had to sacrifice part of my hair. So
Sean Cassidy, I remember him. I remember my older sister having...
I'd say that might have been slightly before my time.
Yeah, it was.
As
that
far
was 70s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't.
I barely remember it.
Okay.
Yeah, he was big. And also Andy Gibb.
Oh, from the Bee Gees.
Gibb was pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean the Bee Gees, just the brothers Gibb.
Yeah.
They weren't really...
They
didn't have the same thing as Andy Gibb going on, like his solo and tons of posters of him and whatnot.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't really know him until after he was dead. I did have my cousins. I had a few cousins that were really into the Bee Gees later, after they were passed away.
Girl's talking about the Bee Gees right now.
Yeah, that's a.
I used to make my mom laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I used to just sing the Bee Gees. I didn't even know the words, but I sung it at such
You don't have to when you're singing Bee Gees.
Falsetto, even as a child, that it'd make my mom laugh. And
I remember doing karaoke with Robin, Staying Alive.
Oh yeah.
He did a really good job.
Well, it's hard to get to that. I mean, it's...
No, I like the low version at the beginning when he went to like a really, really low octave.
Somebody help me.
But the whole, you can tell from the way I walk how he did that in like a... What's the opposite of a falsetto when you're doing it too low? Like if I were to try to sound like a person with a deep voice.
I don't know. Try to affect a deeper voice.
Yes, and he was doing that with the other bit, so it highlighted the yeah. You were there. Kinda.
Remake if Sgt. Pepper's Elton John singing The Who and Earth, Wind and Fire with Beatles tracks.
Sgt. Pepper's from like the film that had the Bee Gees in it?
I don't know.
That was Sgt. Pepper. Did you ever see that, Manny?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it in the 80s. I don't remember it. It was,
okay.
It was all right.
It had Elton John in it.
Something like being a baritone, maybe. But, Shaylee, it's affecting it.
It's affecting it. Robin's
Not
got
to,
kind of a...
to pretend... Like,
yeah.
How I can suddenly go... Ah!
That's why it's called a falsetto. If you have a mid-tone, let's say you are a baritone...
And I don't have a very deep voice, so I'll try to do it
and you are trying to sing soprano, you're falsettoing. Right. But there's got to be a Latin equivalent or Italian equivalent for the lower version when you're... like that. I'm not good at that, but... I have a very high squeaky voice, so I'm not a person to ask.
I always thought that Andy
Gibb...
Gibb...
green all over the place, by the way. She's looking great. Yeah.
Always confused Andy Gibb
Mm-hmm.
with the guy from the movie The Warriors.
I've only seen that because you showed it to me.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of people know that movie, The Warriors.
With the baseball bats? Is that one?
There is a scene with baseball bats. That's the evil gang called the Baseball Baddies. It was very much like a video game.
I was gonna say, I would not be that
they had to
afraid
go
of
through
a
different
gang if
sections.
they were called the baseball batties.
Yeah, but Andy Gibb and the
weren't an
main
Etsy
guy
seller
in that
group, they're
look a
just-
lot alike. At least I think they did.
Their hair probably did.
I also
Well, to
didn't
be
know-
fair, since you mentioned them both, when I was younger, I used to confuse Leif Garrett with Andy Gibb because they had similar hair. And I saw it after the fact and just kind of lumped them together and didn't really follow that sort of music.
Yeah, I confuse Leif Garrett with T-Rex.
Mark Bolan?
Yeah, and Sid Barrett. They all kind of had a thing going on.
You confused Leif Garrett because his last name is Barrett? I'm sorry, I have to take offense
it's just
to this.
that they're trying to be.
Why?
I don't know.
Those are 10 years, 15 years apart, first of all. That doesn't make any sense. Are you talking because June Bolan was the manager for both T-Rex and for Sid Barrett?
I think Sid Barrett and Bolan look alike.
Maybe, and they were friends and they had the same manager. But
yeah,
that has nothing to do with Leif Garrett. For heaven, Leif Garrett is like a manufactured. I don't know. Tiger Beat Idol.
Modal voice.
What's that?
I believe the opposite is modal voice.
Modal? M-O-D-A-L? Like a modality?
Leif was never Andy Gibb. Sid Barrett, LOL.
Who said Sid Barrett, LOL?
Alien Lizzie.
Oh! I don't know if I'm going to kick him out or not. Oh, she's in the pin tier. Okay, yeah, LOL. I sleep on his pillow every night, man.
2 minutes to raffle.
Okay. Good answer.
No.
No.
You've triggered Jasmine.
You have. You started talking about Sid Barrett.
Hard thing to do on Twitch, but maybe not after.
I don't think you will meet a bigger Sid Barrett fan than I am.
The vocal fry
David Bowie's dead.
register, also known as pulse register and glottal fly rattle scrape, amongst other names, is the lowest vocal register that can be produced by a human voice.
Oh, glottal, like in your epiglottis? Like the noise you're making with your mouth? Oh,
we were talking about root words earlier.
Yes, we sure were.
And the importance.
Yes. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, I'm sold. I just meant Leif was no Sid Barrett.
Oh, I thought that's what you said. Sometimes I can't hear because Matt has to read things for me because I can't see the TV. So I'm glad that he was able to sort that out for us, Matty.
Do you mean Michael Beck, a.k.a. Swan on the Warriors? Uh-huh.
Michael. His name is Michael Beck. Sorry, Matthew Beckett. What was that?
Okay. Beck.
Not that sort of Beck.
I don't know.
Matthew Beckett. I confuse him
Grinchy
with
Laura
Michael
says,
Beck.
who is Sid Barrett?
Oh my gosh. This could be a whole nother Twitch.
Anna Worms, guys.
Huh? He's a personal hero of mine.
I have a book Jasmine would love. This is Shaylee. Stop publishing them quite quickly as they don't sell.
Oh, what is that?
Or they didn't sell. It was hard to get, but it was a book of poetry by Mark Bolan.
Really? He was a hell of a poet, in addition to obviously being T-Rex and everything. And his wife, June Bolan, was the first manager for Pink Floyd, which is why she was Sid Barrett's first manager also. So that was a whole Sid Barrett / T-Rex / Mark Bolan thing that I think, again, nobody in 30 years has probably discussed, probably 40, but that was a time period I was very interested in.
And I am their bastard son.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I'm in Molly Hatchet. No, sorry.
I'm gonna.
You're gonna?
I'm gonna go.
You're gonna go, baby?
I'm gonna go. Is my first name. I'm gonna go Bolan.
Oh,
gonna go Bolan tonight.
Thank you, Splitsville. And
Ivana go. That would be a
that's even more.
Ivana go.
That's more complicated.
Okay. All right, let's see who won this raffle.
Yes, and the first raffle, or this is the second raffle, and this is for the Forever Strange book. Oh, I'm sure I talked about Sid Barrett in here somewhere. Let's see.
Black Widow.
Ooh.
Terrifying.
People with the cool names are winning in. And this is a great book. I'm going to show it off even though somebody else has won it because it is such a neat book and you can get it for not a lot of money pretty much anywhere online or anywhere that you buy books. And it's got stories by my sisters who are both authors, and my husband Matthew has written a short story for it, and there's a lot of blurbs in the back where I talk about all the paintings and what things I was doing when I did the painting. There's Puss in Boots, one of my favorite paintings I've done based off my beautiful kitty Mama Wolf. She's kind of in drag in this one, but he's very handsome. We were talking about Charles Perrault earlier. But a lot of my most recent, and as far as books go, because books only, actual books that you don't like self-publish and they actually come out at stores, those books only come out every few years, and they take years to make and years to approve stuff. So a lot of the paintings that you have seen from me in the past 3 or 4 years are going to be the ones that would be in this book.
When was this? Yeah. When was this released?
November of last year. So it has not been a year yet.
So it's also if that answers your question, Alhurst, is this a new book or the old book of print?
Oh, I've done quite. I've done. This is my 5th book of print, but it came out 8 months ago, 7 months ago.
Yeah,
8 months ago. So if you bought it in the past 8 months, then you might already have this one. If you haven't, then you probably don't have this one.
Night, Leela.
Oh, night, Leela. It's night where she is. That's for sure.
Get some sleep.
Oh. Look, there's me, and it talks about me. That's pretty cool. But I'll sign this, and Maddie will sign this, and oh, look, I've got my beautiful fitties in it. But it's a super cool book, really big, hundreds of pictures. You could always cut it up and like frame them or something too. So if you buy it on Amazon for $20 or something, it's a really good deal. I've been putting layers while Matt was talking about Mark Bolan and Sid Barrett and Leif Garrett, who does not belong in the same sentence. I've been putting sap green, which is the only green color paint I actually use that I don't make myself. I've been using that to kind of outline the areas on her eyes and also a bit on the shadows underneath where her chin is, on her shoulder. And that is going to make her look even more zombie-ish. I'll be working on her eyes a bit more later, but are we in the last hour already, Maddie?
Yeah, it's 6:03.
Okay. I need to start working on those Masterpiece editions. Okay. So I will start setting that up.
Which one would you like first?
I don't know. Give me a second because I will have to change my palette also. Because the palette I have right now that I'm using is all meant for these specific paintings. And if I had this sort of camera that swerves around, I would show you all the different palettes I have already sitting in Ziploc bags. That's why I use the little spongy things. If you look at my palette, you can tell it's a plastic plate from Publix. I've used a million times, but there's a sponge underneath that I keep soaked in water, and that's also what I use to mix in with my paints if I don't want to reach all the way over to my water cup. And then there's a piece of paper. It might not look like a piece of paper, but it's a piece of paper I cut out with scissors to kind of look like a circle that's about the same size. I've got a little template I use. I soak that in water for 15 minutes, and then I use that to put the paints on top of it, and that makes it so the paints themselves don't dry out. It does not help you with blending on the painting or making your paints on the painting. They're still going to dry right away, and I use a hairdryer anyways. But once I pour them out onto the palette, they will stay wet for a while. And if I put them, I like these big, like, what are these, the gallon size Ziplocs?
Yes.
Yeah, gallon size Ziplocs. This one's covered with paint, but I put them in there, and then I can use that same palette and pull it out sometimes weeks later, and the paint will still be wet in it. Again, it does not help with blending. I've had so many people email me about them, like, no, it doesn't make your paints last longer. They still dry as soon as they touch the air, but when they're on the soggy little palette, they will stay wet as if you had just poured the paint out, and that saves time and also saves paint. That way, if I am going from one studio in Florida to another studio in London or somewhere far away, I can have the same palette. I'll have it right there. I'll put it in a drawer. I can pull it out, and it will match the painting I was working on with all the specific colors I made and blended. So just a time-saving and economically friendly and environmentally friendly device because it's the same plate. I use it over and over again. In the same piece of paper, I wash it out in the sink, don't I, Maddie?
Uh-huh.
I do. I use that same piece of paper probably 60 times just to make sure I don't have to use another one because I hate being wasteful. So those of you who tell me, hey, you're using a plastic palette, that's wasteful. It's like, no, you don't understand. This is a one paper plastic plate I've used a million times. A sponge I've used a million times. You can probably tell from the colors and possibly the mildew. And then a piece of paper I have literally washed over and over. That's why it's red underneath. Who knows how many colors have been on that. It's all part of a...
sandwich.
Yes. That was it. It was sandwich. Well, I'm going to move these little pens off to dry. I'll show you that. Oh, and for those who keep asking about the elephant, there she is. Again, these, assuming they're all finished, and the other ones I have been working on, no sneak previews on all of them because it's a Patreon thing. Those are going to be up on Thursday at 7 p.m. This coming Thursday. What is that, on the 27th? Or
let me check. Yep.
27th? Mm-hmm. So this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, that is when they will pop up in the Patreon exclusive section at strangeling.com. If you're not a patron yet, go give them $1 and you can get the password and then you can buy them. And they're $5.95, which is by far the most affordable painting that you can buy online of mine ever. And they will be all new and they'll be framed. But now I'm going to move these out of the way and get the masterpiece canvases because we've had people ask about those. I'll be right back. Oh, as far as the canvases?
Yeah. Okay, I got some of those funny facts. Let's see. Let me find one. Okay, you could not play a CD at home until 1982.
I certainly couldn't play CD until 1990
yeah, I didn't
something,
even have one
probably.
until like 1991.
Dude, I think I probably almost knew you before I got
When was
CDs.
I'm trying to remember.
I had a lot of audio cassettes, and we had
the first
like turntable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably move this. This is far too big for where my camera is, so I'm gonna scoot my camera away in a second and move some of the other papers out of the way right quick. And I apologize if you just see my big messy room or more of my legs than you ever wanted to see. Let's see if this is working. Don't fall off, you stupid camera.
Yeah, don't fall off.
As long as you don't fall off, I'll be happy. Okay. Try to climb, but let's see. I can't see the screen. Does that look?
I'll see when it stops.
Yeah, when it loads up, let me know. And I can move her. And I can also move her around while I'm working on her.
That's not bad.
Is that good?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That you showed the bulk of it.
Okay. I'm gonna say, I don't know if you can see on the other camera, but this is one of my Masterpiece Edition canvases. They are quite large. This is Bosch Princess. We've sold the first 4 of her, and the last one is going on eBay. I think the eBay ones are, if they're not up yet, they're going to be up any minute. I think they're probably up now. And these are canvas clays, and this, by the time you see it like this, it's been many steps into the process. Obviously, first I do the original painting, and that's long since been sold. But we scan it in, and we use a Giclée printer, which is like a fancy museum archival printer thing that's huge, and it prints on canvas. And then Maddie varnishes them by spraying them with many layers of varnish to protect them. That means that they will stay good for hundreds of years without fading. And then he wraps them on these wooden boards that sometimes we buy already made, sometimes we have to make ourselves, and they are stretched with staples, and it's like a little drum almost. They have it's like, it's very tight, and it's a really, really big painting, and Matt will then put a hanger on the back. So since they're really thick, it's called gallery wrapped, it's an inch or 2 thick, it's like that big. So you don't need to frame them, you just put them up on the wall. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Masterpiece Canvas Editions, and these are definitely the next best thing to like my big paintings. These are the ones that are the prints. But what I do now at this stage is I go in and I paint lots of little details on top of this that has already been printed, stretched, and varnished. That's also when I number them and sign them, and then I write a bunch of certification stuff on the back so people can tell it's the real one that they got.
Yep, Ren Girl's watching it right now on eBay.
Oh, yeah, the auction for this one should be up there already, and we've already sold the first. With the big ones like this, we typically do 5 of them. We used to do 25 and do smaller ones, but then we got a bigger printer, and it became quickly clear that I can't spend all day doing 25 paintings of the same thing, basically, so we're doing 5 of each, and so we made them bigger, and I'm also making more detailed. But we're slowly phasing out the 25 edition ones. So if you're somebody who collects the ones that are the smaller ones that are 25s, if there's any you had your eye on, buy it soon because a lot of those are either running out or they're going to be retired. And we'll just be doing these for all the new paintings I do that are large in the meantime. And that way I can spend half the day embellishing canvases and signing stuff, and then half the day working on new paintings, because if I only spent the whole day signing things, I wouldn't get any new paintings done, and that would be sad for me and sad for other people too, because you see the same things over and over again. But this is a very interesting and neat painting I did. It was for the Jonathan Levine Gallery in New York City. It was a couple of years, 2 years ago when we were there. We were there.
Yeah.
We were there a week before last, but it wasn't for a gallery. We're just there with family. But we were there during the big crazy blizzard that hit New York, and that was just nuts. We were being in Central Park, and me and Matt were the only people I could see, even by like the John Lennon Memorial and all that.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Like Grinchy said, "Oh, Pink Floyd, you should have said that, Jasmine."
Oh, yeah,
Sid
I'm sorry. Yeah, Sid Barrett was a founding member, songwriter, lyricist, singer, and lead guitarist for Pink Floyd when they started, for example, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and then partway through Saucerful Secrets, and a few limited releases since then. Yeah.
Have you ever, Aileen Lizzie wants to know if you've ever dedicated a Shine On Crazy Diamond tribute painting.
I have, there was a painting somebody had me write something on the back of, but it was after the painting was already done. So I have not officially done one. One of the things I feel bad that I missed out on when Cheffins, the auction company in England that was auctioning off, his sister Rosemary was selling his stuff after he passed away, and they had his all his art brushes as paint brushes, and because he was a painter also and was working on a book about art history, and his paints and everything, and they were auctioning that off, and I missed out just barely because of the time zone difference, because I was in Florida, they were in England, and I would have loved to have had some of his paintbrushes. That would have made me very happy. And then
Jasmine.
yeah, anyways,
Seattle Steve wants to know if we collect vinyl records.
We are starting to more.
Yes,
so.
we are.
Yes, yeah. We yeah. I was gonna say I just bought one of Robin's, and actually a couple of Robin's. I got his 45 that came out, and then I'm happy to see that a lot of companies and artists, musicians are coming out with vinyls that have not done before.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
I think it's so cool.
I think it's cool too.
Jasmine.
Yep.
Millie met you at the gallery during that wild snowstorm.
Oh, in New York, really? Oh my gosh! Thank you for braving the cold weather. I remember getting there, and I think I wore my scarf and my coat almost the whole time. But this is one of the pictures that I had there. The original one was there. This one's a little bit larger than the original. Sometimes with the canvases, since they are textured, and since I usually pick more complicated paintings to upsize, these are ones that you'll sometimes see a canvas print that is larger than the original painting. Doesn't happen very often. It's usually only by a couple inches, but this is a very good example of that. There's a lot happening in this one. There's a lot of fishes with, like, you know, biblical hermits in their mouths. Strange little monsters and
Jasmine.
All sorts of fun stuff. Yeah.
Alien Lizzie owns a copy of Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Oh,
A used copy she acquired in the early 80s.
Oh, for heaven's sake. If it's on vinyl, it might be worth something now.
Seattle Steve wants to know if all your favorite musicians do time in mental institutions.
Some of them I would not mention now because they might still be alive, and I don't want to be, I don't know, gossipy about them. But a handful of them have done. But I think that's the same with a lot of creative people. Oh, I need to get my other palette. I was talking about it often enough, but gotta get
there.
my...
You want me to get it? Grab it?
Oh, I'll get it. I've got to actually put more paint on it too.
I got excited when I heard Childish Gambino releases vinyl records. Glad for my player now. I don't know what Childish Gambino is.
Is that a company that makes records?
I don't know.
I know there's a... Oh, that opened up that the first factory that for
Jane's excited to see Jasmine embellish this one. She has the Innsmouth Mermaid masterpiece, so it's nice to see how it's done.
Oh, absolutely. Had a lot of people asking about it.
Donald Glover's music. It's the only modern thing I listen to. Okay.
not related to
Don't know.
Glover, is he?
Is he related to Danny Glover? Jack White has an amazing vinyl record company. Yeah, he used to work with Long Gone John, but I don't think he does
I think
anymore.
those were some of his first albums he did were with Long Gone John.
Yeah.
He works with hundreds of musicians. He did a lot of neat stuff.
He's Lando Calrissian in Solo. The
is he?
The musician.
Oh, okay. Huh.
That they're talking about.
Gotcha.
Danny, yes, EB is Danny's Glover's dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're saying yeah, or they're talking like a pirate.
EB,
Danny Glover's old dad.
So this is a slightly different palette. The only difference between this one and the other one I had there is this one tends to have the ones I embellish canvases with have a lot more chroma to them. There's a lot more individual pigments as opposed to the subtle flesh tones and things that I've made myself in the little jars. Because once I've already gotten to the point where we print it out as a clay, it's already looks like the painting, so I don't have to worry about shading in the different parts of under the chin or under our arm or stuff like that. So now I'm looking at surface things, which are going to be the highest pigment, highest chroma, highest value, darkest value of the details that we'll be adding. Often I like to start off by adding some bright colors in the eyes. Not necessarily bright colors, but
thank you so much,
pigment
Amy.
or high chroma or high value. Oh, was that magic noise there? Thank you.
9 months.
Oh, wow. I think I'll be up here in 9 months still.
Amy's subscription will be born soon.
Aw, 9 months. That's early to find out.
Jack White used to put records in furniture when he worked on them. LOL, that's a fun fact.
Records in furniture? I don't know.
Jack White's alright. I'm more of a Jack Black kind of guy.
I like Jack Black.
Because you have to be one or the other.
Before.
It's like it's one of those few. It's like Rolling Stones and Beatles.
It's like Blur versus Oasis.
It's got Blur versus Oasis
versus all the other music out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's another one? No, the Beach Boys versus Van Halen.
Ew.
Yeah.
Beach Boys. Sorry.
I made that last one up.
I think you did, baby. People used to say Stones versus Beatles, but I think you can definitely like both. I like both of those a lot.
So why would he put his records in furniture?
Like it was a glamour bomb or like geocaching sort of surprise thing? I don't know.
So was everyone supposed to...
Or was it other people's records?
Jack White happened to work on their furniture, that they
instead
should
of a
rip
business
open
card?
their couches?
Maybe it's like instead of a business card.
How deep did he put it in the furniture?
I'm gonna say, do people even know about this, or did he have to tell people about it?
It's a weird thing to do.
Is that what you call, not to use the term, deep tracks twice in one session?
Ha.
So I'm taking some of the colors that I remember mixing. I'm very, not bragging, but looking at a painting, I'm very good at remembering what colors I mixed to get to that color originally. So I'm kind of doing that now with her hair, as you can tell. And that's one of the first things that you can look at when you see an embellished canvas of mine. If you want to compare it to the original one online, look at their hair. That's one of the first things I change, because hair is something that I'll just do a few strands over there, a few strands over there. And that will change what the painting looks like a little bit without changing the purpose or the initial aspect of the painting. If I change it too much, let's say I give her red hair all of a sudden, and people are like, well, wait, I bought it because it looked like my niece and she has blonde hair. I don't want to change it too much, but I want to make it look a little bit different. We had all 5 of them next to each other. You'd be able to tell them apart.
Right.
That's the important thing to me.
Still thinking about Jack White slipping his vinyl records up in his lazy boy.
That sounds like something you might not want to say on Twitch. I don't know.
Why did he do that?
It doesn't make sense. It was like a calming card. I don't know.
I guess the records now are worth a couple alligator curl pins.
Wow! That's saying something,
Well,
man.
the thing is, how are you gonna find it? You're like gonna have to track down Jack White's old
I
lazy
kind of
boy?
like that. If that's really what's going on. We've talked about. I think we've all talked about this on Twitch before. Possibly doing a Strangeling pin that was only available via geocaching.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I would love that because I'm one of those people who read books about Oak Island and hidden treasure and, you know, stuff like that all the time when I was a kid, and I like the idea of mysterious things being hidden that you don't know about,
As
and then
long
you
as
find
we
it
can
and
do
it's
it
like
well
a
away
prize.
from our neighborhood.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't like put one in my yard or something.
Well,
You know what would be great for that, but he probably would not like that. It would be like on my dad's property. That'd be so good to hide some geocaches.
they might.
there.
Your dad? No, I would. No, you
I don't
want
think
to
he
go on
wants
your dad's
people on
land.
his land, like by definition.
And that's all we'll say about that. He doesn't like people on his
No,
land.
yeah, that's what I mean. But
Love the Oak
but
Island treasure story. Yeah, and it
that is
continues,
such an
doesn't it?
ongoing and interesting story. I remember when Oak Island came up for sale, like what 9-10 years ago.
Geocaching pin, too cool.
Yeah.
Geocaching is great.
I think it's great. It gets you outside. I love going by places where I know where there are geocaches and looking for. We're in Orlando or by Orlando, so when I see tourists there, I'm like, oh, and they're always trying to be subtle and they're looking around with their phones. I'm like, you guys are geocaching, and I'll pretend that you're not noticing that there's one under the boardwalk here in Celebration. There are a lot in Celebration. It's actually a really good place to come for geocaching.
It is.
The whole Orlando area is because a lot of people are visiting and they want to put exciting stuff out there.
I wonder if there's a guy named George Caching. People call him geocaching.
Like how there's the Geo Wash Bridge in New York.
Like George Washington
Yeah,
Bridge.
the Geo Wash Bridge,
Wash
you know.
Bridge.
Yeah. There's also the Geo Wash
That's like an
Traffic Way in
environmental
Washington,
statement.
D.C.
Let's
They call
watch
it
the
Geo
Earth,
Wash
everyone.
there. It is. It's like Nat Geo.
One of the weirder geocaching adventures ended in a cemetery.
I bet a lot of them did.
Like murder, and then they ended in the
I
cemetery,
was gonna
or
say
the
they need
physical
an ID
location of the last
discovery
geocache was.
show that is all about
Are
geocaching.
you speaking literally or figuratively? Because
Because wouldn't that be a great ID discovery if it was all about geocaching mishaps?
I don't know if I could
Are
like
there enough of
something
them?
more than that, Jasmine.
No.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
if
know.
could.
That's what I mean. ID discovery. If you're out, I have nothing to do with you, but that would be cool.
Yes, I'm sure that the geocaching murders are slim to none.
I don't know. I'm continually surprised by humans and their behavior. I don't know.
Shaylee D said, I only found out what geocaching was very recently.
Oh,
Maybe she had one in her apartment.
yeah. That's sometimes
And
people
somebody,
find
like,
out
knocked
about
on
them
the
because
door and
they
said,
are on their
"Hey."
property or they're like across the street or. I like it's gone now. The drug wars one that was in Missouri. It was in between.
That was a
CVS
clever name.
Yes, or in Kansas City, it was
In between CVS and
CVS
Walgreens.
and Walgreens.
These are two
As people know,
American
at least in the
drugstores.
middle part of the country and possibly the southern part of the country, Walgreens and CVS, whenever one puts one up, the other one has to put one next to it. It's like, I don't know, McDonald's and Burger King or something like that. It's like the Stones and the Beatles. You know, it's one of those things you got to pick one or the other. So there's CVS and Walgreens, and they put one partway through that was like in an Altoids box with a magnet, and it was like stuck onto a street light, and the geocache was in there, and it was halfway in between the two, and it was called Drug Wars, and I thought that was cute.
Yeah, and if you're up in New York, what are the Walgreens called up there?
Dwayne Reed.
Dwayne Reed.
Yeah, Dwayne Reed.
That's basically Walgreens, too.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
I bet a state park somewhere would host a geocaching event.
Oh, yes.
No, we're talking about putting them on the bottom of the ocean, the Mariana Trench.
No,
Space
we are not
station.
talking about. Although
Mount Everest.
there are geocaches in the
let's
Mariana
see,
Trench, and there are geocaches, which I think kind of defeats the purpose of geocaching, that are on the space station. Somebody brought a geocache up there, not saying who, but somebody brought one, and they left it on the International Space Station. But things like satellite phones are not gonna effing work on the International Space Station, right? Because they're not on Earth, correct?
Uh-huh.
So how do people find it? Also,
think
you have to be
astronauts
vetted,
pick
and you've
through
got to be an
every time they
astronaut
go.
and probably, spend decades trying out to be at the International
I wish an
Station.
alligator girl was up there.
See? But what if I meet one that was...
inspired someone to become an astronaut.
See? Oh, if I did, that would make my year. That is awesome. I would love to have been an astronaut. I'm just very unpleasant in short spaces.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, nobody wants to be with me for 4 years in one room.
So
That
Alien
sounds
Lizzie says
terrible.
it was all Eckert's before Walgreens CVS.
Oh, Eckert's, yes.
Well,
we
had
had
Safeway.
we had
and Oscar.
no Safeway's a grocery store. You think of Revco,
Revco?
and Osco.
Well,
Yes.
Safeway was
So,
awesome.
Safeway, baby, they still have. We go there in California.
Ah.
Huh. No, Safeway's still around in their grocery store. It was Revco and Osco were the ones that were.
What is the medium that Matty used to seal the painting? It can't be lacquer or the acrylics
No,
wouldn't stick.
it's not lacquer. It is actually made especially for us, which sounds really annoying, but we had a factory that makes a spray type varnish that works with my paints. I forget what the official name for it is. It's really long and it's plastic. It's acrylic based or latex based. Acrylic based. It's archival
Right. And it's porous enough that Jasmine
it's
can
porous
easily...
enough that I can paint on it,
Yeah.
and I don't need to varnish it again because it mixes in with the golden fluid acrylics and turns into basically a big solid sheet of plastic. So if any of it were to get damaged, it all would. It wouldn't be like the paint would peel off of it or anything. And that's part of, not, I wouldn't say the fun, but the intricacies of like having a large format company where you have to make lots of things that come in big gallons is eventually you're like, wow, I'm paying this much for this amount of something. Can I get a gallon of it? And you can make it just for me. And there are factories that will do that.
So Alien Lizzie says, "Oh my God, please make a spacesuit NASA commission character."
You know what?
would love one of your-
NASA, I
That'd be
think
a-
we don't, that's one of the few things people have mentioned. I think we don't have to license because NASA is owned by anybody in America, correct?
I don't know the legality there.
I know. I could be wrong, and I'm thinking about the photos that they take there. But I know the photos they take from NASA, like different galaxies, etc., are technically owned by right by all American citizens because our taxes pay for it. So those are public domain. I don't know about using the term NASA. It would probably. I think if I put a spacesuit though and just had that generically, I don't think that would be an issue. It's not a character that an artist came up with. It's not a company that owns something. It's a publicly owned facility that every person who lives here technically owns a
Make
bit.
a whole planetary series of gals.
That sounds lovely.
That sounds like
Got micro gal.
When someone says, "Have one in the center of a volcano,"
That would be hard.
and I replied back to them, "Okay, Frodo." And
And
then I yelled Mordor, and then I said, "I mean Hodor."
Oh, that's a couple fandoms there, but no spoilers. Thank you, Maddie.
Hey, somebody else spoiled it. That's okay.
There's been a certain amount of time for both of those, really. And actually, take the hair thing out, even though this is the dark part of her hair. It's not underarm hair, but see hair underneath her arm that's coming back behind her hair. Unless you want to think of it the other way. I'm going to add some more details onto that. For example, if you were to look at the website and you're just trying to compare something, you could look at like the hair next to her eye and you're like, oh, look, this one's got 3 S-shapes by her eye, and the original one, or the open edition just has the one, or this one's got 4 dots in her eye, and those are just little things that I can change in these. This is a painting where I can't change a whole lot because I don't want to change the nature of it. For example, if I were to stick a sea monster over here, it's like, wow, there's already sea monsters that are from the 14 and 1500s, and I'm trying to keep it on point.
Those are real, right?
As far as they knew at that time. Well, no, they knew better than that. But no, yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't want to put something in there that was a color that would not be consistent with the, I don't know, the palette that I've used with this, because I'm trying to go for, we're talking about Flemish landscapes earlier today, Maddie. Not here on Twitch, just me and Maddie were.
Very much
and
so.
I've got that kind of misty sort of random landscape with mysterious hills that are going to the distance. If I were to stick something like a palm tree there, it wouldn't make any sense. So I don't want to change that. But I do like, when I'm working on Masterpiece Edition, looking at things that could be changed. Like if you look behind her, you see some generic kind of bushes there, right? If you look really close, I don't know if anybody has noticed this other than me, but there are 3 little birds in this painting, loosely based off of the Bob Marley song. But there are 1, 2, 3 little birds. So something I might do is add some more leaves or maybe another bird over here. I don't want to change too much because I always think of, what was that, Seven Ravens Ranch? I forget what it was called though. There was, somebody bought one of my paintings that had ravens in the background, and I painted like 2 extra ravens, and they didn't want it because they had a B&B, like bed and breakfast, and it was called 5 Ravens Ranch or something like that, and I added 2 more, and they bought the painting because of that, because it had 7 birds in it or whatever, and I added too many birds and they didn't want it. So I try not to change too much, but I try to keep it consistent within what the initial look of the painting did to begin with.
Okay, so many people have mentioned they want some sort of space girl. They're really freaking out.
Okay, I love Space Girl. I'll paint Space Girls all day. Okay.
Can you make a mental note of that?
I will.
Okay.
I'm thinking about one maybe for my Corey Halford show is going to be loosely music themed next year. So I could always call one like Space Oddity or something like that and make it kind of spacey.
Like referring to the David Bowie?
Not specifically in a legal way, but maybe. I think it's a generic enough term. But yes, obviously music-wise. If you copyright the name of a song, you're copyrighting a song, not the name of the song. Otherwise, yesterday would be taken, and whenever you talk about what happened the day before today, that would be out of luck.
Now I've got yesterday stuck in my head.
Isn't that the name of that show that, or the film that Lexi was talking about? The Beatles, maybe, where there's like a guy who dreamed that, or didn't dream. He lived in
there's some like
thing
comedy
in, like,
coming out called
I thought
Yesterday.
It was called Yesterday, or maybe
something like.
Because I know that's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most commonly covered song, or the song with the most common titles, or something like that. So I'm putting some more leaves up there. It's not real obvious. If you were to see this painting, you wouldn't say, "Oh, what's that weird leaf doing there?" Because I'm trying to keep it the same colors and the same sort of story that I've told with the original painting, and I don't want to change it too much. I don't want to paint an elephant right here, and people are like, "Why did I buy this print? It has an elephant. I hate elephants." Well, I hope those people don't buy my artwork, but anyways, I wanted to go with the same story, not change the whole look of it, but to have things that if you were to compare them to the original or to the other ones in the edition, that they would be very obviously different. One thing I tried to remember is where I signed the original painting. Because when I scan in the painting to make the giclées, which are the photonegative versions that are printed out on the canvases, the fancy museum canvas things like the Masterpiece editions, the original signature, I edited out, so you only see one signature, and it's the one that I actually paint, because it's supposed to be kind of like the original painting. So what I do usually is look at a picture of the original painting, because I have a scan of it, and I see around where I signed it. Usually I do it in the same color, but I don't always. Sometimes I do them specifically in different colors so I can tell them apart. We have had, not typically, but we've had a handful of problems with companies, usually on Wish.com or Alibaba or AliExpress or one of those, where they take a picture of my eBay auction for the #1 and they try to sell it as a #1 over and over and over again, and it's just a scam. Don't buy it if you're not sure, if it looks weird, if it's from... Not everybody in China is selling illegal stuff. There might be legitimate stuff in China. I have licensed things there, and that's fine. But if you see stuff and you're like, this doesn't look like Jasmine would have 100 available of the #2 out of 5 of one thing, that's literally impossible. That's part of the reason I sign things in a different color and I sign things in a different place than I do when I upload it online. That way nobody can make a fake one that they print out, because I know where the colors are. I know what the back of the canvas looks like. I know what sort of flourish I did on my signature, and I have records of it that I keep track of. And that helps protect you. It helps protect me. It helps not give money to people who are making fake ones out there. So take that, thieves, in case you're watching.
Yeah.
Probably not. I doubt any of the people who are doing anything bad would bother to watch my Twitch. People here are good. Put a little bit more highlight in her hair, too. If I had painted this again, this was painted about 2 years ago, and I'm a little bit better at painting now. Sometimes I will correct, not mistakes, but if I think, oh, I would have made that brighter if I did that again, or I would have made that part more red, I will go ahead and do that when I'm doing the Masterpiece Edition. In some ways, it might end up looking a little bit more realistic or slightly more saturated or something than the original painting did. Especially if it's one that I did many years ago. Sometimes I still do limited editions of ones that I painted when I was in my teens and I just turned 40. So that was a long time ago. I'm like, oh, you know what? I would have never put that purple next to that purple. Oh my god, that's awful. I'm just going to paint over that. What's that?
Not awful.
Well, I don't know.
It's different now.
Has anybody ever looked at a diary or like their social media from 10 or 20 years later when you used to be a teenager and now you're a grown up?
I think I burned that stuff.
What's that, babe?
I think I burned all that.
Oh, there you go. If you grew up with the internet, yeah, I was gonna say, if you didn't have it then, that's one thing. Yeah. Yay.
Social media, my first, I guess, 20 some years are not on social. Yeah, social. That's nice.
Yeah.
Because LiveJournal would be the first social media I use.
It depends if you include like AOL.
Yeah, but there's
like
there's
profiles
no
and
it's not blog.
I used the AOL blog for my first version of my website, which was even earlier than the official one. Yeah, you can look at it. Don't. But,
okay.
Yeah. What's that website called? It's called Retread or something. You can type in a website and type in the day and the year, and you can see what that website looked like, which is hilarious to do with things like eBay or Amazon or things that are huge websites now, and you look at them and they were like some not very good little placeholder website that somebody put a business card out and that was it. And it's pretty funny. I'm glad I never made any embarrassing mistakes with my website because anybody could look at it anytime. I actually used that before as evidence in a legal issue when somebody was like, no, we weren't selling your t-shirts. They were making like fake t-shirts, and like, no, there are websites you can see what your website looked like yesterday, so if you delete the t-shirts, it took a snapshot of it. Nothing you do on the internet goes away. It is there all the time. You know how to look for it.
About 20 minutes to raffle.
Okay.
Jasmine will wrap it up then.
I will. I'm going to cover up a little bit of her shoulder with the hair there too. In the original painting, her shoulder is solid black there, but on this one, if you were to look at it, you can see her hair covers it up a bit. I'll also do a little bit of work on the other canvas I have, La Belle Dame Sainte Merci. That's one that the original painting I did up here at Twitch, so that might be fun for you guys to see how different I could make it. So I will sign this one. I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna sign this one real quick.
Okay.
Just so I remember that this is one that I have touched up a bit. But typically I would go on and paint this for a while longer.
I can't help you because I want to protect that one.
Oh yeah, give it. It might be a second, love. I'm still signing, but you can bring it up. Yeah, I don't need to stand up or anything. So I'm trying to think on this one. I kind of did a bluish green signature near the bottom, so I'm going to keep it similar. I don't want to suddenly like sign my name on her forehead or somewhere that looks bad if people were to bought the original one or to see it online and they're like, oh, where are you going to sign it? This is number 5, and these are up for auction now too. This one and the one I'll be showing you guys in a minute, and 1 or 2 others are up. I think one of them is the number 1. I think that's the Innsmouth Mermaid one, because all the other ones in the edition have sold, but we always auction off the first and the last. The reason being, some of you might be out there, prefer to get the number 1, or they want the lowest number possible, and we had too many people requesting that they wanted the number one of a canvas, so we started putting those on eBay and just putting them at a penny, and sometimes they go for a little bit less than they're supposed to, which is kind of funny, and often they go for quite a bit more, which is kind of nice. But we do that with the last ones because not everybody is on Twitch, not everybody's on Patreon, not everybody looks at my Instagram, so I like to give everybody a chance to at least throw their lot in if they are trying to get the very last one, because that is the literal last chance that you can do, and I don't ever want people to feel like they missed out because they were, I don't know, in England, or they were on a cruise, or they were, you know, up late that last night or anything. I don't want people to have a reason. Yeah.
People in the room said you could totally sign your name on her forehead. So.
You know, maybe if it was here at Twitch, like it was a custom one, and somebody wanted a Jasmine forehead tattoo one. But I'm gonna, I will be doing some more embellishing on this, probably not on Twitch, but just before the painting ends. And also, I always write on the back. If I get to the point in La Belle Dame Saint Merci, I might sign on the back of that too. Because I would typically, on this one, for example, he's got a little light, so I'd put little uplights coming up off of the little lantern, and I'd show them up there, show them on her fingers, show them. I like making the embellished ones look a little bit fancier. That should be dry enough for you to move, love.
Okie doke.
We can switch it out for La Belle Dame Saint Merci.
Asking if the hand embellishes are on the same on each.
Oh no, they're different. They're different because often I either do them all in a row and I intentionally make all 5 of them different, or I'll do them sometimes a month or 2 apart depending on when people buy them, and by then I've probably forgotten what I did. So it's like, oh, I forgot I added like extra daisies on this one. If it's something that has flowers or leaves or butterflies, or jewels in the hair, stuff like that, I tend to change those the most often. For example, La Belle Dame Saint Merci, this one here, I don't know, she's also another big 24-inch one. You guys can probably tell by how small her, I mean, her hand is like as big as mine almost. This is a big canvas. They're really neat though.
Yeah, we print a lot of big prints on the printer.
But the if you look at this one, and this is how this right now is exactly how the original painting looked, except for the signature, because we take the signature off so that when I put a signature on the limited editions, it's the one I actually painted on there. That's one of the ways you can tell the open editions or the posters or whatever from when I've actually painted. But this one has, if you were to look at it, a whole bunch of leaves and a whole bunch of poppy fairies, those little pretty red flower things that go in the back, and she is a poppy fairy, so, and poppies are fairies technically. There's also little blue flowers that are through there, and I do know, and thank you for letting me know, but I already knew, poppies do not grow in bushes. I talked about this when I painted it. That was an artistic idea. That is not me not knowing how poppies work. They grow on little stalks like every other flower, but I like seeing them in bushes, and I thought that was very pretty. Also, her wings, if you look at her wings on this one, for example, I mean, I only painted this a couple months ago, really, but her wing there is a lot more obvious than the one over here. Over here, it kind of, you can't really see the wing. It's kind of made out of the same color as her hair. So one thing I might do in this painting to change it a bit is to take some of the gold sort of color I have on her wing over here, and I might bring that over on the other side too, and then add some more little poppy fairy flowers there.
People are loving her.
Oh. Yeah, if you...
Steve is partial to your redheads.
Aw. Redheads are lovely. If you do like this one especially, there are a couple episodes we did, I think, when I was actually working on this one, right? Here on Twitch?
What's that then? I'm sorry.
This, La Belle Dame Saint Merci, the one I'm working on here, that was one that I painted on Twitch.
Yeah.
The actual original painting. So if you'd like to see me in the early stages, like deciding where her arm's gonna go, or what sort of backgrounds are gonna be, or talking about the story or the poetry behind the painting, you can always look up at, it's probably off Twitch by now, because they only keep them for like a month or 2, but on YouTube, do you have my YouTube link up there, Maddie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you look up there, you can go back. ever since I started Twitch, I think they're all, just about all of them are up there, so you can always look up there and listen to me mumble around while I was painting this actual painting. And then you can see me criticizing my own decisions when I'm working on the no, this is recent enough that I really like the look of this painting and the style of it and the level of accuracy and the three-dimensional bits I'm very happy with. So I'm taking some of the same red. This is an interesting painting because it really challenges the idea of red as a color, because she has red lipstick, there's red in the poppies, but she also has what people would call red hair, which typically is more of an orange kind of neutral tone than would be in a poppy. If you look at the poppy flower fairy's hair, those are almost glowing, like the outsides of them are almost bright red. It starts escaping the color of the actual flower and going into the area around it as if it was like a light of some sort. But if you have that next to something that is orangey red, like a more natural redhead color, that's something that a lot of art people would probably tell you not to do. It's like how people would say, hey, if you're a redhead, you shouldn't wear pink or magenta because it's going to clash with your hair. But sometimes it can look fantastic, and that's kind of what I was going for with this one. Got a true red next to an orange neutral red, and then a more magenta red with the purple. And I was proud to be able to kind of pull that one off. I like it. Probably not something that most people worry about when they wake up in the morning. Good for you.
Yeah. People are Vampy says this painting was my favorite so far.
It's a good one.
She reminds me
for this one too.
She reminds me of Tina Louise, a ginger from Gilligan's Island.
Ah. So this is a good example already. I've changed her hair a bit. Which is the fun thing of a lot of my characters that I paint, a lot of the female characters at least, tend to have long hair, because long hair is fun to paint. Look like me a little bit, put a bunch of hair going all over the place. That's kind of the life I live here.
Jasmine?
Yeah.
Tigger says, I believe you mentioned that you can use a black light to see embellishments?
Somebody told me that who worked at an antique store, and they collected my masterpiece canvases, and they said if you had I forget if it was a black light, it was some sort of light that they use at antique stores where you can tell. I have not done it at home, no. But if you hold them up, you can tell that which parts were added later, because it's made out of a different, slightly sort of plastic, which is how people, let's say you're on Antiques Roadshow and you like knock the leg off your fancy Chippendale table or whatever and you glue it back on, they can see a line in it with a black light that you could do. It's like luminol or something, but for paint or glue, and you can allegedly, according to what some of the galleries and collectors have told me, I'm not bothered to try it because I know where I painted stuff, but you can see it on different areas of my paintings. And there isn't a way that you could ever get one that wasn't embellished first if I've signed it in paint, because I always do the embellishing before I sign it. That way, if it's something like the one I just did, I did a bunch of embellishing and put my signature at the bottom, because that way I know if I want to add some more embellishing later, I can, but I know for sure I did a bunch of it, and that way it does not leave my hands. And the last thing I do is write on the back. And as you can tell, like, the back of this one is empty, and I will be writing on the backs of them after I've finished everything involving painting. I also, at that point, don't like to have a lot of paint on my hands because the sides are glossy black ink that has been varnished a million times, so I don't want to touch it with paint on my hands as far as flipping it over, etc. Yeah. I'm also going to take a bit of pure white and put it right in the middle of what would have been the whitest part of the painting, probably where the light in her eyes there. That's one I tend to use a lot. Might actually change, and this won't change the narrative of the painting or anything, or how it looks. I might add a couple little extra little winglets off to the side. Put yellow and gold. Put some little dots in there to make sparkles. Oh, do that on the other side too. That will kind of balance it out.
We're all just kind of watching you.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. But when I do put something, let's say it's a fairy painting and it's meant to be kind of symmetrical, if I put something over here, I want to make sure I balance it out over there. Even though this part of the painting is more of a, in the shadow as opposed to in the bright bits, because this is shadow and that's the bright bits over there. I still want to put a little something, even if it's done on a dimmer scale. I want to put that over here, put some little sparkles. I don't like using, and maybe other artists have different sorts of materials they use, but sometimes when people have hand embellished paintings or canvases, it has big bumpy things on it, like to show where they embellished it. I like to use the same paints I used to do the original painting, so it kind of blends in better. I found that sometimes if I use, like, some people use like that puffy paint stuff that people used to put on t-shirts in the 80s, you know what I mean, Mandy?
Yes. May as well just use silly paint.
It's just gonna fall off after a year or two. So I like to use the same paints that I know have been working for decades and they still work good. So that's why my paints tend to be very smooth when I'm on the top of one of these embellished canvases.
Steve, Seattle Steve says we want the redhead.
Here's a redhead. Close enough.
Do all open canvas have the JBG stamp on it, or something on the back of the canvas saying it came from the website?
No, those are only the remarked canvases. Those are the ones that basically mean that they're made and sold by me and my family and have something that is signed by me, like the COA on the back, but they aren't hand painted. I haven't painted extra flowers or anything on those, but they come from us and that proves that it does. There are other canvases that you could get. Well, the Pop Gallery at Disney, for example, and art shows we do sometimes. Sometimes I just sign them, and they don't come with anything special, but they're signed. They're nice. Right. They're lovely. They're the same size as the original, and that's it. They're going to be less expensive probably, but the ones that are on my website, you can always tell came from me. And if you get the ones that come with a signature, then I signed it. I've never seen anybody really try to pawn off something saying that Jasmine signed this and it wasn't me. My signature is very messy and long and complicated. I have a long name that's spelled weird and has strange symbols in it and whatever. But I've never seen anybody try to say, hey, this is a fake Jasmine signature or anything like that. That hasn't come up yet. I don't think that would happen until I'm dead, because it'd be easier to just get me to sign it than to get some fake person to sign it. I'm putting some of that bright red on top of the existing poppy little fairy flowers here, and I'm putting a couple other ones hiding out between the leaves too. I don't want to make the ones in the back too bright, because while that might look neat because, hey, Jasmine painted those ones, I don't want them to look like they're floating on top of the painting. I want it to still look like a scene that you could come across in the middle of the forest if it was a place that had a lot of skeletons and armor and fairies.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, you know, one of those sort of forests.
Alien Lizzie says you will never die.
Oh, I didn't think I would, but thank you. Here's hoping not.
As long as she keeps eating that oatmeal every morning.
I've not had oatmeal for years.
Oh my god, we're all doomed.
I eat a lot of berries in the morning. Those are great. I'm going to show you guys about what I mean about painting foliage here. I don't know.
Foliage.
It's not foliage.
That's an old Simpsons
foliage.
joke, guys. I know how it's...
Because it's a joke on how a lot of people mispronounce foliage. Okay.
Yes.
Let me get some yellow real quick.
And it's a... What's your biggest pet peeve misspelled word?
Beckett. With 2 T's. No, sorry. Everybody puts 2 T's. It doesn't matter. I'm like, hey, I'm Jasmine Becket-Griffith. And sign Jasmine Becket-Griffith. JasmineBecketGriffith.com. Doesn't matter. People spell it with 2 T's. What's yours?
Lightening. And I said,
oh, like you're lightening your hair? Or there's thunder and lightning. Lightning has no E in it. Yes. Like, oh, if you really want to argue about spelling, I can turn this into a whole different Twitch session. Okay.
That's my biggest one.
Lightning?
When people write lightning.
But those are both words.
All I have to say is Google it.
Well,
Google lightning, and it has something. It has.
Google image it and see what comes up.
Oh, don't Google it. Well, you can Google image it, but
it's going to be a bunch of hair dyeing or something.
If you look up the definition of lightening,
it means to lighten, not to make light.
My pet peeve is spelling is my own name.
Yeah, that's a good pet peeve. Like I was saying,
Oh.
Beckett, when people spell it wrong. I hate it more when people give me other last names, like Sanders or Smith. I don't understand that.
Sanders.
Yeah, like I'm Winnie the Pooh and I'm living under the name Mr. Sanders. I've had that happen twice. It can't be a coincidence.
Or you could be married to fictional guy Steve Sanders from Beverly Hills 90210.
I don't know that show. Is that good?
But you've seen Sharknado, so you know who I'm
I
talking
have seen
about.
Sharknado. What's and the actor's name is what?
Ian Zierling.
I thought you said Sanders something.
Oh, Steve Sanders is his character's name.
Oh, that's a character he plays
Yes,
in
I
a
said
different
fictional
show.
Character.
Okay.
Steve Sanders.
Yeah, but you said I saw Sharknado and that was the... Okay,
Yeah,
you mean it was an
the
actor who
actor.
played that guy. Gotcha,
Mhm.
gotcha. Well, I
If you
still
did a
don't know what the
redhead
heck you're talking
pirate,
about, but
would
thank
it be
you.
is copyright infringement?
What was it? I didn't hear the first
If you
bit.
did a redhead pirate, would it be...
No. You
a
can't
Diz
copyright the idea of a
copyright
redheaded
infringement?
pirate. I mean...
If
and
it was
look at, what's her name
her
on Game
exactly.
of Thrones? She's kind of redhead. She's kind of a pirate.
Yeah, and the
Dragon
redhead,
god. Yeah.
wasn't even a pirate in the ride. Just
No, she's
a
just
girl.
a lady who lived in the town.
Oh, also I kept thinking
I have
Matt's last
painted
name
some
was
redhead pirates.
Griffith.
What's that?
Oh, Barrett with 2 T's.
Barrett has 2 T's.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Also I
if
kept
you're talking
thinking
about
Matt's
Sid, I like how these people are coming in now. What's
Matt's
that?
last name was Griffith until he pointed out it wasn't. No wonder I couldn't find you online. That's how I hide.
That was the point. Thank you.
Yes, now you found me. Oh no.
You found Maddie. Oh no. No, it's funny. I had an artist friend whose husband was named Matt Griffith, which is not her last name, and I won't say her name, but I always thought that was funny. It's like, your husband's name is Matt Griffith. I hope people don't notice and think it's Maddie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just here. I don't know how much you can see, but I'm just kind of painting random leaves around. And I'm trying to match them pretty closely with the lighter colors of what I've painted in before. Because then if they're added on top, if your eye can make the very small distinction between this is however many millimeters closer to the eye than the ones behind it, it will also look lighter in tone and higher in saturation, etc. because it is closer to you and it is physically closer to you. And that will help it not look like some color forms that somebody stuck. Do people still have color forms? Probably not. That you stuck on top of an existing painting. It looks like they fit in. Are color forms? If color forms are not still a thing, they should make them again, and then they would be a thing.
That's another
you know
product.
what I mean?
That's another product that
yes.
you could
I had She-Ra color forms when I was little, and I didn't even know that show,
I had
and I
Spider-Man
loved
color
it.
forms
Yeah.
and also the
Yeah.
Hulk. And I
Oh.
mixed them together, and it was the best thing I've ever done.
She-Ra and Hulk? You had both?
No, not She-Ra.
Oh,
Spider-Man.
I thought you said She-Ra. Okay, I said She-Ra.
I want She-Ra.
Well, I did not have any other color forms other than Garfield, and
Garfield's a good one though. That
Garfield was great. That was a really good color form. I would hold by that statement. That was a great color form.
She-Ra.
And then Katrina had oh golly, Care Bears, Shirt Tails, one of those awful 80s little bears that were like 1x2 proportional rectangles. I forget.
Oh, 1 minute to raffle.
Oh, let's see. Oh, I didn't show people the new pins. I promised to.
Oh, go ahead. We'll be on just a little bit longer. Guys.
Okay.
Why didn't I remind you? I'm sorry.
I don't. That's fine. Anyways, this is not the actual pins. No, the metal ones.
We talked about this last.
Yes, but I did not show them to you yet. This is a printout of the actual size. This is not the pins. This is a piece of paper I printed out 10 minutes before I started broadcasting. Okay, but this is what the postcard and the pins on them will look like. So this is what a few people are asking. What does full color pins mean? It means that you see something that looks like the actual painting as opposed to the, I don't want to use the word cartoon, but I'll use it here, cartoon version, which is like the outline of the character with solid colors that you need to do for a pin. For example, the pin we're giving away any second now. How those are solid colors in there, and it doesn't have any gradation of tone, but these are three-dimensionally sculpted, which is pretty cool. But these ones will be a smooth type of metal. And they're not going to be part of the usual enamel pin program. We're going to have that for sale at strangeling.com, but we're only going to do an edition, I think, of 250 of each set of 4. I don't know if we're going to do lots of sets of 4, if this is the first one and the only one, who knows. It depends on how much people like them, really, and how much I like them, because I think they're pretty great, and I've done a lot of square paintings. We were talking earlier about things like mini paintings, how we can't really make prints of them because they're weirdly shaped and they're way too small. But things like tiny treasures that are squares, or faces of fairy that are square, and I can make them into a little square, like these little pins that'll be little metal. I could actually do that with tiny treasures or faces of fairy, or even close-ups like of bigger paintings. I haven't really thought about it, but that's the only way I can really think about using some of these paintings that people very much love, and some of them are people's favorite paintings, or, you know, it's got your grandniece in it or your dog or something, but without turning it into a cartoon and actually keeping a lot of the realism.
When will they be released?
It's hard for me to say because we're going to be traveling a lot in the next 5 to 6 weeks, so it would probably either be July or August if I were to guess. And they'll be $39.99 for the set of 4, but you can use your Patreon discount on them, so you can save like $4, and it's like $36 for 4 pins, which is way cheaper than usual pins and has a lot more colors. But I'm not sure how they will be. I don't know if people will trade them with the other ones, or some people will do both, or whichever. But I'm kind of partial to these because they have all my colors in them. But I'm very happy with these, and there are a lot of other ones we're thinking about doing, and we always welcome suggestions. If you have favorite ones that were tiny treasures or faces of fairy, this is finally a way that we can do pins of them, because before, if I had to cut them down and just make like a outline of each one, they'd almost be just not a happy face each time, but it wouldn't be a lot of detail for something that small that has a lot of gradation of tone and a lot of different skin colors and different little friends, characters, frogs, and backgrounds, and all sorts of more experimental things that might not have always made it into a full-size painting. But do you have a move-out winner?
Are you putting a limit to how many people can buy? 250, almost 800 patrons is a small amount.
I don't know. I don't know yet.
What do we want to remind people about?
Well, the only other time, I assume this is what you're talking about, Maddie. Yeah. The only other time we've done a limited edition on strangeliving.com was for the Dia de Marta set.
And a year and a half.
It took almost 2 years before everybody bought all 250. So 250 seemed like a good amount because I've got to buy them first and get them made and everything. And I was like, well, if it took 2 years before people bought them all, that's about how long I could coast on how much money I'd have to put in it, because I don't really do Kickstarters or anything. I just kind of just buy it and hope that people will buy
Amanda Rabbit won the
Amanda Rabbit?
Amanda Rabbit.
Amanda Rabbit. And she has one Strangely Lonely.
Yep.
Yay! But we will check with the website administrator and see if there is an actual limit. I don't want somebody to buy all of them and just jack up the prices or something.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. It'll be a reasonable amount. I mean, we wouldn't say like 1 per person or anything, but we might say 10 per person. Something, you know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, and we'll definitely let you guys know as soon as we know the release date. Again, we are going to be in, Kansas, then Missouri, then Illinois, then the UK, then France, all in the next 3.5 weeks. So we have to be in the place to actually poke all the pins in the postcards and put them in the labels and mail them at the post office and stuff like that. So we have to be in the same place for a few days before we can send everything out. But I will continue working on this, and you can bid on these now on eBay. These number 5s, I will be signing the number 5 and working on this one, working on the other one, and working on the mini paintings will be popping up on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we promise, I'm crossing my fingers, you can see me, we promise that we will make it, my website administrator promises that we will make it so 2 people can't accidentally buy the same painting, neither can 25 people accidentally buy the same painting, if you get what I'm saying. So if we have the minis and they're popping up at 7 o'clock and they're all gone by 7:01, it doesn't mean that a bunch of people are confused. It means that a bunch of people got one of the painting they want. And that's the goal. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.